He waited till we're live to quit.
This is horse shit.
Well,
I'm fucking done with it.
well,
Okay?
welcome to the show, everybody.
Welcome.
We have a couple of interesting topics today. We forgot the most important part of the show.
Our sponsor.
And the second most important part of the show.
Sponsored by Bud Light, Lime, and Muck
Domino's.
Muck. And Muck Muck.
Muck Muck. Oh, that's a lot of bacon.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also got one of these.
Oh, Muck Muck.
It's a Muck Muck.
We got, hold on, let's just do this.
Center my camera there.
No, let's do this.
Get rid of it. I mean, oh yeah, show everybody what we got going on.
There's the Muck Muck.
We're gonna get fat tonight, as we talk about. We got a couple. I got two main topics prepared. There might be some other smaller ones that I have that have been on my mind, but Elon Musk, everybody and their mother has heard about by now, has bought 9.2% of Twitter, which makes him the single largest shareholder, which is quite possibly the single most baller move in the history of the entire universe.
Yep.
I think. We'd have to get like a universe historian to fact check that.
It's at least the most baller move, I think, in recent history.
Maybe
meaning like
ever.
the last.
I guess it depends on what like some kings in the past may have done, right? But even then, it doesn't really compare. And then also a little bit later, there was some interesting UFO documents that got declassified that we could talk about. Yeah, give me some paper towels for over here. First, I'm going to pull up this Elon Musk article. Now, hopefully this doesn't ding at us, because this dinged at us last time, every time we did this. Okay, good, it didn't. I muted it. Now, just watch, though, it dinged in the live stream or something. Okay. Now.
We apologize for the Muck Muck.
I don't apologize. Alex apologizes for the Muck.
You're going to hear me like...
That's all right. People love it. Whoops.
I'll try and keep quiet.
if you can pull that off for the whole live stream, just stay quiet.
That's why he did this. You got the Muck Muck, so I could fill up my mouth, so you just keep talking the whole time. I'm sitting there.
That's right.
Yep, I agree.
Just trying to pull this up very slowly. We should really be more prepared.
I got to give a shout out to my peeps over at the company that I left yesterday.
Yeah, because Alex is a quitter. He starts things and then he quits.
Apparently. But yeah, classy people. Yeah. Anyways,
So
you know who you are, people. If you're watching,
If you ever see this,
ever seen
what
this?
the heck is happening with this?
what is happening? What are
It's
you
very small. Is it like zoomed out or something? No, maybe we should just zoom
I
in.
don't know. I literally quit the best place I've ever worked at for the people.
Maybe because it's a mobile link that I posted, and maybe I
that's
should
probably
just.
something like that.
But it shouldn't work that way.
I don't know, man.
Okay, there we go. That's better. Yeah, Elon Musk joins Twitter's board of directors with a 9.2% stake in the company.
Did he just straight up buy all of it, or did he already was he already a pretty decent holder?
No, I
Just increased?
think he just straight up bought it. Not like in one order,
No.
but over a couple weeks or something. Because
Yeah.
his average price is like $35 a share. So he's up massively already.
What's it trade at?
So the day after the news came out, it was at 51, 52 a share. He bought at 35.
Wow.
Today it was at like 40, 46, I think.
Hmm.
I think it closed at.
Wow.
Let me see.
I always find it funny that companies like that are actually worth that kind of money.
Twitter?
Yes.
I mean, Twitter's like Twitter. Everybody's on Twitter, so like it makes sense that there's a lot of it. Yeah, $46. Yeah, and neither am I. But
we're not everybody.
we're not. We're the
anybody.
very minority of people.
We're not baller.
Yeah. So, I guess this was an ongoing thing. He's been talking to the CEO, And so I guess he probably knew that he was going to get appointed to the board of directors before he did it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done it because he was talking about free speech and he pulled Twitter about certain things. I think he actually did a poll where it's like, should I buy Twitter or something? And I guess this is the result. I don't understand this level of wealth.
I know. Nah, it's just games. These are games now. When you have this kind of wealth,
it's unfathomable.
Well, yeah, it's not. So when
just
you have
to be able to throw $3 billion, or I guess like $2 billion.
Yeah, when you have this kind
like
of wealth,
nothing.
It's not. It's not even. I'm trying to think how to frame this. They have to have fun like this. This has got to be how they mess around because they're like everything else. So okay, for example, do you don't play poker or anything like that though?
Not like professionally.
Well, no. I mean, but even like
not often. I will play and I have played, but like I don't like.
All right. Well, people that gamble, right? So for me, even like when I first started playing poker, I remember when we were kids, we were like 16, 17, or whatever the heck we were. We'd play all these stupid games like Kings and Little Ones and baseball and all these. They're not even real poker, but whatever, just full of wild cards. But we'd play for like maybe $5-10 max, right? That'd be like it'll be all change essentially, right? We were playing for
whatever you got in your pocket or whatever.
Or whatever. But, and then we progressively got more and more and more. Now when we play a game, and we haven't gotten any really higher than this now because we don't play often enough to progress further.
Right.
But we're at like now where we have like maybe like $2,000 on the table or $3,000 on the table. Mm-hmm. But that $2,000 to $3,000 on the table now feels to me, because I'm so desensitized to it, like
the same
as it did when I was a kid, right? You know, within reason. I mean,
right. So it's got to feel the same way to Elon.
That's what I mean. So it's like for him now to mess around with $2 or $3 billion to buy a
his
stock.
net worth is like $200 billion, I think.
That's what I mean. So it's like when they're doing this, it's you're playing these games at the highest level now, like where now you control
almost $300 billion.
Like now he pretty much controls the company.
He doesn't, because he's not the CEO.
I'm saying,
and it all depends on how, because like they don't have to do anything. So, and it's only 9.2%, but like,
but he's the highest shareholder.
Yeah, exactly. It all depends on how they
and now,
treat that.
If he wants to start buying up more and more and more and accumulating more,
that is what I think might.
This could become a hostile takeover.
Yeah, he could take over. What the hell is Elon Musk going to do with Twitter? Hopefully, make it what it once was. A place where, quite literally, the public town square, where there weren't a bunch of, jackboot dictators stomping out everybody who has an opinion that they don't like. Mm-hmm. People were pointing out that it's interesting that, Donald Trump can't speak on Twitter, but, Vladimir Putin can, the Taliban can, the CCP can, all of these, horrible groups that you have to be a psychopath to put Donald Trump in even close to the same category as them, no matter how much you don't like the guy's politics. Mm-hmm. And yet that's who's targeted, which shows you that what Twitter is ultimately doing is they are subverting democracy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You have Twitter employees angry over this.
Mm-hmm. It's like a bunch of bullies. It's like a bunch of bullies got together and went, we don't like this guy, so we're going to take him off. Yeah, and you're accusing him of the very thing that you're doing. People call him a bully all the time. They call Trump a bully.
Trump's a bully because he says mean things.
Yeah.
But you're not a bully because you cut his tongue out.
Yeah.
Because you said mean things. You're worse. You're significantly worse, especially since you banned a president. I think he was technically still president. Had lost the election, but was still president when they kicked him off. It's like... These people should be in jail for that. It's
crazy. It's crazy the time we live in that you're able to do these kinds of things. It just goes to show you
how far we've gone.
Well, I think, and I think to their detriment, I think this was a bad thing to do because all they've proven is that a corporation is more powerful than the president.
Yeah.
Which is not really something you want to let everybody know.
That was something that was kind of...
You know what I mean? People.
It was kind of in the background.
Yeah, people had an idea that was true.
Yeah, but and sometimes you get a sign, a little bit of action here and there.
But now it's something. If you want proof, there it is.
It goes right to Twitter, which is probably controlled by something else, like the deep state.
Yeah. So,
at a higher level.
what do you think he's gonna do?
Well, he has talked about. He has talked about. He talked about free speech as being like the backbone of our society. So it sounds like he's going to push to open Twitter up a little bit more, make it a little more free. He has talked about an edit button. I don't know how I feel about that, because it's weird. Because the reason that my red flags kind of came up for an edit button is you see this in the mainstream media now. They'll post an article riddled with lies or mischaracterizations or smears, all that stuff. And then a couple days later, once it gets all the traction, they don't retract it. No, they just edit the article.
Oh, okay.
Without even saying that they edited the article. So if you go to the archive, you can see the difference. But if you saw this article, that was posted today, and like 3 days from now, you brought it up and you're like, oh my God, the New York Times said this crazy stuff. You might pull that same article up and see that it's completely different, and maybe even takes a completely different perspective than it used to because they edit it. It's probably a way to avoid getting sued, but they don't state that they edited it.
Right.
They don't state what they edited out of it. And that's what concerns me about an edit button on Twitter is people, I could go on Twitter and say, oh, Alex is all of these horrible things. And then it gets a bunch of traction, retweets, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I edit it. And then so by the time someone comes in, oh, hey, look what Tyler said about you.
It's not.
It's like I've edited it to be like, oh, Alex is the greatest person ever. You're like, what are you talking about? He's.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know how I feel about an edit button. It would be nice for like.
Does it say it's been edited? Is there like a thing where it shows?
I don't know.
Like
obviously this doesn't exist, so it's not fleshed out. If it said it was edited, that'd be be somewhat helpful.
Like payroll,
but it'd be nice.
Like
it'd be nice to see like the original.
Like a payroll program's like that. If you punch use your swipe card, right? And let's say I'm a manager and I go in and edit it. There's a little tab that shows that it's been edited, right? Like we know that there's been a punch, but at the same time that punch has been edited. It says who's edited. It doesn't say
right.
They'll show what's been edited, but even if it doesn't show what's been edited necessarily, it just says it has been edited. Then it has. I love saying the word edited.
Right. So it is edited. Useful if like you're typing something.
Yeah.
And you put in a typo and you notice after you edit it, you fix a typo, and that's fine. It just concerns me about the same way that sort of the mainstream media does it with their stealth edits. Could be a good idea. I don't know. I just want to see Twitter opened up. I want to see a much more. I don't mind them drawing lines. I just want the lines to be rigid. Because like right now, it's like people get banned all the time and they have no idea what they did wrong. And it's like absolutely.
The only problem is with that is there's always gray. There's always gray area, right?
Not if you draw a hard line.
Yeah, with spoken word and stuff, there's always gray area.
That's why I like the idea of
written word more so.
Well, yeah, but that's why it's like just be strict. Like no overt calls for violence. There you go. Plain and simple.
But again, you say that somebody's definition of overt might be different.
Well, yeah, and then you get fucking people playing around. But overt has a pretty strict definition.
Yeah, but if somebody makes
like you can always create a definition that goes back to a hard dictionary, sort of like here's what these words mean, and so here's where.
But I mean, like for example, let's say something like the Will Smith slap. What if somebody's joking around and they say, "Oh, you should have slapped him twice," or Chris Rock should have slapped him back, or something like that? That's an overt call to violence.
Yeah,
that gets you kicked off. But it's
maybe
a joke.
It should.
It's a joke. And we got to be careful. We got to be careful. Like that's the problem with stuff like that. It's like you're trying to draw hard lines on places where they're not.
There's also the problem with
free
having
speech.
Algorithms decide this stuff.
Yeah, and free speech is just that. It's the freedom for people to say stupid shit sometimes, and then being able to retract. Right? Like maybe instead of banning people,
it might be better to have like a.
Maybe they just do a thing where they like they highlight it and they say, "Hey, this is this," and then you have to maybe retweet to explain or something. They give you an opportunity to explain or something like that. I don't know. Like or you just stay the fuck out of it and you let it be a public square and it's free to say whatever the hell you want to say on it.
or go away from having admins and have like randomly just have like 10,000 people have to vote on like just you know 10,000 random people at complete random, probably in the same country. You probably want to keep it like that. They log on to Twitter. They're like, it just pops up on their screen. Here's this tweet. You know, some people are saying that this is overly violent. Is it or isn't it? Simple, one tap of a button, yes or no. And then based on that, Twitter maybe just based on that, Twitter takes action. Either deletes the tweet or gives you just like, hey, here's the result of our like tribunal. Yeah, you need to take it down. Maybe, or we're gonna strike.
But again, it sounds like fact checkers. A different term for fact checkers.
Yeah, but at least it's not.
But it could be
a handful of individuals.
It could be like manipulated, too, right? So it's like I don't know. I don't pretend to know what the answer is.
If it was completely random,
I think
it could work. But yeah, like they would say it's random.
Yeah,
and they just have like.
That's what I mean. I think there's a number of answers that could work potentially, but all of them are wrought with the possibility of manipulation, misinterpretation, all these different things. Mm-hmm. That I don't know. Like if you.
That's why I would almost argue just take off all the fucking guardrails.
That's what I'm saying.
All of it.
Yeah.
And then like
make it
when things get serious, that's a job for the police.
But you got to realize too, though. You got to remember this. This is a business. Mm-hmm. So they are in business. So they are catering to the consensus of the masses.
And fortunately, they're shareholders.
Right, and their masses and all that kind of stuff. So if they're trying to make money. And if they say, okay, we're going to take all the guardrails off this in the hopes of keeping freedom of speech free, well, maybe that hurts their bottom line, right? So you gotta understand that they still are running a business.
I would argue though that isn't the case simply because that's how it got to where it is. Same with YouTube, right? These platforms got to where they were because you could just go and these things,
but they got popular.
Yeah,
and when they get,
but that's how they got. Right. So what I'm arguing is that once they got to this size, then they started to sort of implement these more authoritarian policies.
If you take it down to a very small sort of thing, think about like even yourself or anybody that if you started to amass wealth or something like that, you start to get nice things. You start to worry about those nice things, losing those nice things, people taking them, damaging them, all that kind of stuff, right? Before that, when you're just on the upswing, you're like, oh, whatever. Like you're just in the wave of the upswing, and you're not really worried about it because you're trying to build it to something. But once you get it to a point where it's at like a Twitter size or scope, now you're worried about losing things, and of course,
you become worried about that.
Yeah, shareholders.
But
now
I think that worry is fake.
No,
or not that it's fake, but that I think that the reasons that you're concerned are completely misguided.
Maybe, but it doesn't take away the fact that they really are concerns or could be concerns, and you can rationalize those concerns because if you dumb it down to smaller things, you can say, yeah, I'm concerned about those kinds of things.
I think we have enough data at this point though to say that it doesn't work in their favor.
No, I agree. I think so, but it's like curves, right? You're ahead of the curve or you're behind the curve. I think they're a little behind the curve because this whole woke movement and all this leftism shit that seemed like it was popular is starting to seem like it's maybe not popular. And you're seeing entities and companies and all that kind of starting to back out of it, or at least not be vocal with it anymore. And some companies will be like the last out. And if they're last out, they might be
You also have
destroyed.
Disney being... Have you heard of the Disney stuff?
Yeah,
that's actually scary.
I think Disney's gonna kill themselves. I think Disney's gonna crush themselves in the next.
Seems like.
Yeah, I think you're gonna get other entities come in and start to make better programming,
like the Daily Wire.
Well, yeah, maybe. I mean,
they're working on it.
I
haven't seen any of their stuff. They've released a couple things. I haven't seen them. I don't know if they're any good.
Fight something.
Yeah,
I forget what it is.
I don't
it's
know.
like this. It looks cheesy.
There's like a superhero one. But a lot of stuff looks cheesy as fuck, and then it's pretty good.
It
could also be cheesy on purpose. Like, you don't know.
Yeah, I would check it out.
I haven't seen it
because it's the Daily Wire, and
it's
I like
an attempt
at
building culture, which is a good thing. It's a good.
Yeah, but I think
that's gross.
Yeah, I saw that. I think. Oh, and you put it back in your mouth.
It landed on the thing.
You are a disgusting type of person. Yeah, but there's a napkin right there you could put in. You are gross. But
I'm an animal.
there's also there's the hyper overcorrection that I don't like either. Like, to correct this, we're going to do this, which is equally absurd on the opposite side, right? Like, if we're trying to get back to the middle, I understand what you're doing. You're trying to offer both sides of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I think equally absurd would be like trying to outlaw wokeism, which I don't think anyone's trying to do.
No.
That would be equally absurd.
No, what I'm saying though is what I'm talking about. That I'm talking about like the Daily Wire's, conservative move on the other side. If it's garbage, if it's not well produced and it's very overtly trying to be conservative and push conservative values, it's just as cheeseball to me as the left doing the same thing on the other side.
The impression that I get from what they're trying to do is that they're just trying to make stuff, and they're not like, they're going to make a superhero movie about superheroes, not superhero movies about transgender superheroes who are have gay parents.
I hope that's all they're trying to do, but it has the feel of, hey, we're offering a conservative alternative, but why not just offer a middle of the road alternative where like conservatives and fucking people that quote unquote or maybe left of center can go to, because they don't want this bullshit indoctrination left crap that we're seeing, right? So I don't know. Well, I think you're seeing like these corrections in culture, and it's a natural sort of thing that hopefully is just gonna very soon extinguish itself, right?
And it might.
I hope
with Elon Musk making the moves that he is, it might
like
in a very serious way. If they do manage to open up Twitter, they are pushing back. They're not like reinstating Trump or anything yet, but who knows what Elon's going to push for? He might not push for that right away. He might wait until he owns 20%, or who knows what he's going to do. But what I was saying before is this almost sounds to me like we're looking at a Starlink IPO in the works soon. There's been a lot of talk about it. There's even rumors. There's a particular SPAC. I forget the name of it, but the ticker is IPOF. It's the rumors are that SPAC is going to be through that is how they're going to IPO Starlink. So there are a lot of people are talking about that. If you're right, you'll make a lot of money if you buy that SPAC. But obviously, you're wrong. You're going to make fucking nothing.
Yeah. I'm trying to hide myself. Don't watch me eat. I'm sensitive about this.
You're sensitive about your eating? I don't care. You can watch me eat. I'm
weirded out.
If we see a Starlink IPO, Elon Musk will go from being the richest man in the world to being the first, second, third, fourth, fifth to 10th richest man in the world several times over.
Has he surpassed Bezos?
Oh, yeah, a long time ago.
I don't know.
So right now, according to Google, his net worth is $279.5 billion. Bezos is 184.
Oh, wow.
Bill Gates is 133.
He's always around there. He's always between 100 and 150, it seems.
Mark Zuckerberg's like 80. Warren Buffett's like 125. Like, he's the richest man in the world, I think, without factoring in like, maybe Vladimir Putin or certain people Saudi oligarchs. Yeah, people that are like behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's a lot of wealth that isn't disclosed.
Yeah. And like, I think technically the Saudi king like owns Saudi Arabia, so it's like if you were to really factor that's not compared. It's like trillions. Of dollars.
I've heard that too. It's like how do you quantify that?
But it also at the same time it's not really the same sort of thing. So maybe it's not even worth comparing.
Yeah.
But still, in terms of like
when you're up in that realm, it really is stupid almost to try and quantify it, because realistically it's all so diversified in all these assets and all these different things that really these people, although they're worth it on paper.
Well, yeah, people think Elon Musk has $200 billion. He only has a few $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember how much.
The rest of it's on paper. The rest of it's in it's ownership
based
of
on the market cap
and all these different
of like say
sure.
Tesla.
Right.
And if he were to liquidate all of that, Tesla would go through the floor, and he probably wouldn't get 10% of it out before it was worthless. Because if Elon Musk jumped ship on Tesla, everybody would.
Like he could start selling it off slowly, but he'd have to do it over like 10 years pretty much, and to not draw any real attention. I think it was Enron. I think it was the guy from Enron did that, where
over
he
10
like
years, and then
no.
had like nothing.
No. I'm pretty sure that he he panicked at one point. He started selling off big, in which I think it was Enron, one of these companies like that, like Enron or what's that other one that was a big fucking pump and dump essentially. But I'm pretty sure they started selling off so fast is what caused like the major collapse. Had they not done that, then it probably, it would have been a slower collapse. But that just means that, the top people that got out slower wouldn't have lost really any money, and the people at the bottom would have lost everything.
Yeah.
And anyways, but yeah, so it's just funny when you get to that level of money. It's almost pointless to say who's got what. He has the kind of power that
that's really how it should be. That's really how it should be conceptualized. Power.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, who's the most powerful person? Yeah, he can control governments. He can control companies. He can just step in and essentially, if a company their shares are completely diversified out, and somebody could just come in and literally buy up a controlling stake in a company if they want, and then just collapse it. Do whatever the hell they want.
That's a problem that Warren Buffett has talked about with Berkshire Hathaway at his level of wealth. They really only have a few hundred companies that they can invest in, because either they're taking a stake in the company that's too small to be worth their time at their level of wealth, or they're buying a controlling stake of the company, and they don't want to run the company. So it's like all these companies, like a company that's worth $100 million, Warren Buffett isn't going to look at, because he's either buying the thing outright, or he's taking it'd be such a small thing in his portfolio unless he specifically believed in that company. If
he would have to have a 1,000% return to make it even worth his time.
I know
what you're saying.
He's not that kind of investor,
right?
So,
no, that's totally true. But you're talking about the masters of the universe
too.
Yeah, you're talking about the masters of the universe at this point. Like, these guys they control everything in some way, right? They're sitting on boards all over the place. They have they have power to do
whatever they want. Look at Epstein Island. Yeah. I'm not saying that Elon is implicated in any of that, but we didn't get any names, did we?
No, we didn't.
Bill Clinton flew on that plane, 17 times, something like that?
Yeah. So
nothing happened.
Yeah. I've said this before. We're in a different time period now where there's no accountability anymore. People don't.
I think there was always no accountability for.
No, I think there was.
The elites.
I think there was back in the day. I think there was more. I
think that was like the cause of the French Revolution, wasn't it? Like, the aristocracy got out of hand, and so there was eventually accountability.
Yeah.
But there was no accountability up until there was you lose your head kind of accountability.
Well, I think back in the day, or back in the olden times, I'll say pre-1900s essentially, I think there was more accountability that way. People would literally lynch people. People would hang people for doing different things.
But that was accountability between me and you, not necessarily accountability between us and the king.
Well, yeah. Well, monarchy is a different thing altogether, right?
Well, which is what places were.
Yeah, monarchies are a different thing. I mean, when I'm talking about some kind of republic.
Yeah, but were there any of those?
Well, there was different forms of it. There were different systems that weren't exactly just monarchy, right?
Yeah. Well, it was mainly monarchy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Some variant. Yeah.
A lot more kind of structured around the king.
I mean, even Rome back in the day at one point was a republic.
Was it? Or did it just
when they had they had senators.
Yeah, but didn't it all wasn't it still kind of like the emperor had the final say, but they were doing more than just you're the guy that's in control.
I'd have to look it up. I can't speak to it too much.
Because that it was Plato.
But
that
I'm
came
pretty
up with the
sure
Republic.
they were
Plato's
one
the
of
Republic,
right.
So
I'm pretty sure they were one of the empires that actually was able to use a republic. Now again, you might be right. Maybe the emperor behind it was pulling all the strings, and the republic was almost like
not even that
shadow
he was
government
pulling
type
all
thing.
the strings, but that right now, the president of the United States, there are things that he can't do, and I'm saying that maybe these places function more like the United States than like a strict monarchy, but the emperor had whatever the emperor said went.
That's what I mean.
If the emperor decided to, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's pulling the strings behind the scenes.
Well,
It could just mean he has that power. Yeah, exactly.
When he needed to, right? He would step in and be like, okay, listen, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like having a team of people that are taking care of all decisions at a certain level, and then when it gets to the upper decisions, that's when they involve upper management, that kind of thing, right? Because the rest of it, they're like, fine, you do it, you handle all that shit. And it almost makes it look like that's the control, but really the big decisions are being made from the top level. Kind of like almost like what you could think our government is right now.
I 100% think that's what's happening. I saw an article asking pondering the question, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but it may have happened where Nancy Pelosi or Nancy Pelosi's husband may have bought Tesla before they did this whole electric vehicle thing, where they're like kind of trying to.
Wouldn't be surprised at all.
No, not even the slightest.
Not even that. That doesn't even sound like it's newsworthy at this point. It's like,
I know.
That's like, yeah, of course it happened.
Why would she? What do you mean she didn't?
What? She didn't make money on Tesla?
Yeah. What do you mean she made money on all these other things? But she didn't buy Tesla before.
That's because she has integrity. That Skeletor has integrity. Ugh, fucking that woman's not even real.
She has COVID now.
Does she?
Yeah, so she'll be better in a couple days, I think.
Yeah, that woman's not even real.
She's a list of
I think she's a puppet. I think she's a legitimate puppet. No, I mean like a legitimate puppet. Like somebody's actually pulling her strings. I am Nancy Pelosi.
It wouldn't surprise me if her technology had gone that far.
All of a sudden, you see her eye go.
I mean, she has had glitches. What was it? There was a phrase that she said. It's like she said something like "Good morning, Sunday morning," in a weird tone to a group, and it like made no sense of why she would say that. This is like her brain just stopped working.
They're the lizard people.
They could be. Honestly, like who knows? Like, you know how we can build like a robot that would be accepted into like a hyena group, like a little cub hyena robot that the other hyenas will take in.
Yep.
They think it's. But to us, it's very clear that that's a robot hyena. Well, what if there's fucking aliens out there that can do that to us? They're that much more advanced to us than we are of a hyena, that they could build something that looks like a human.
They're kind of fucking with us a little bit. They're like, let's see how stupid these idiots are. Let's put something in here that they could spot. You know what I mean? Like it's like that whole game where you're like, oh, I'm gonna put this thing in here that if you're looking for it, you could spot it. Like the spliced dick. Remember? Did you ever see Fight Club?
Yes, but I was on mushrooms.
Oh well. There's when he's talking about Tyler Durden, the one character he's talking about, because he's one of his part-time jobs is that he does film reels for theater, and he splices dicks in there.
Oh,
so it's like it instantaneous. You're watching, and all of a sudden, dick, and they're like, people. They know they saw something, but they're not 100% sure.
It's like one frame. I think that there's stuff like that in the old Disney movies. I think there are real, actual, like that people have found, or there's a conspiracy about it.
I heard something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never looked into it, but
I don't know if it's like overt as a dick, but it's like a frame where like I don't know, like Mickey Mouse has a dick.
It sounds the same as the whole the idea of if you play a record backwards, you hear like satanic bullshit. You've heard that, right? Before, yeah.
Maybe.
I don't think any of that's true, but maybe somebody could fuck around, right? Like it just takes one person to just be fucking around and having a good time, and they do something like that, and it looks like it's.
I mean, I'm convinced that I think what is it, Dark Side of the Moon? I think that it's they made it in sync with Wizard of Oz on purpose. Have you seen it?
No.
The album is in perfect sync to Wizard of Oz, to the point where at the beginning of the movie, there's the lion, what is it, MGM Studios or something, the lion roar. There's a lion roar in the album at the beginning of the album that syncs up perfectly with the lion roar in the thing. I'm pretty sure that's how it is. And then just the way that the songs go into the music and the vibe of the songs with what's happening in the movie syncs up perfectly. It would be it's wild.
It would be hard to believe that was random.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
yeah. And it's not like it's
Pink Floyd said that they didn't do it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like they acknowledge that it's there, but they said that they're like, no, there's like we didn't try to do that.
I don't know. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Who knows? But maybe they don't know either. Maybe it's the record producers or whatever. Maybe they did it. I don't know. Maybe they
Maybe
did
it's
something.
some higher dimensional entity trying to tell us something through Pink Floyd and The Wizard of Oz
That's most likely.
simultaneously.
That's
the most likely outcome. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know what the message would be, but there's a message.
Is it Pink Floyd? Who is it? Pink Floyd or like Rush or it's one of those bands. I can't remember which one. I hate them all. Well, I don't hate them, but I'm not a fan.
I like Pink Floyd.
That does at in Italy in the ruins. I forget what. Fuck, I can't. I just remember Mount Vesuvius. It's something with a P. The one set of ruins. It's there's a Colosseum there and stuff.
Oh, the
Pompeii.
Panopticon or Pompeii?
Pompeii, is it? Yeah.
Pompeii is the volcano city.
Yeah, with Mount Vesuvius. Pompeii. That's the ruins
The
of
one that
Pompeii.
got covered in ash. And
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are like still people that, well, they're like...
Yeah, I think it's I'm pretty sure it's Pompeii.
Pompeii is where the volcano we
If Mount Vesuvius is there, yeah.
I don't know if it's
I was there.
Mount Vesuvius. But.
So I went on a cruise the one time and I went there and all through the smaller Colosseum that's there, it's all either Pink Floyd or Rush or something like one of those bands. They're all the same to me. But all their shit is everywhere because they apparently did a show there one time or whatever, and they like it's weird. You walk through and you're like, what the fuck is all this garbage? You know,
This is an ancient city.
Yeah, in an old Colosseum, we got all this.
Those are old bands, man.
Yeah,
they've been around.
Yeah, they were around then.
I think they did a show in ancient Greece.
Pretty much, yeah. But yeah, so I don't know what my point was there. Oh, no, I don't even know what my point was. Something to do with your shit where you were saying that they synced up stuff. So I don't know.
You get attention, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was talking
You'd
about.
think they'd admit it, though.
I'm confused by the muck. Sorry. Anyways, that's probably a good segue into your next thing that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, the UFOs.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's not talk too much about UFOs because people will lose all of our listeners.
For UFOs.
I'm kidding.
I think UFOs gets listeners, if anything.
I'm kidding. I'm gonna muck one more piece. This will lose our listeners right here. Like fucking two idiots. Two idiots just chomping on a mic. Thanks.
It sounds nice.
I think so.
Mukbangs get a lot of views. Did you see that story? I might have mentioned
You call it muck ring?
Mukbang.
Muck what?
Mukbang.
Muckbang?
Yeah, that's what it's called.
I don't know. Muckbang?
Oh, yeah, that's what it's called.
So where do they go?
Basically, they're just eating a meal in front of the camera. Yeah.
No, that sounds good.
It's a weird psychological thing that people...
It's like the whole asthma.
Yeah, it's similar. Only it's just eating in front of the camera. It's weird. But there's a YouTuber. It's a fucking really sad story. It's like his name is Nikado Avocado or something like that.
What? Is that his real name?
That's his YouTube name. Like
Nikado Avocado.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Could be.
You know it couldn't be. You know how usernames on the internet work. You're not that dumb.
Hey,
you're pretty dumb.
hold on.
But you're not that dumb.
See if the last name Avocado actually exists. I'll guarantee it does.
Yeah, but Nikado isn't a name. His last name could be.
What are you talking about? Nikado's not a name. Could be
Nikado's not a
Nick.
fucking
Nikado?
name.
Fuck, man.
It's Nick. But
Buddy,
it's
there are
Nikado
so
Avocado.
many stupid fucking names out there.
That's his username. And he started out on YouTube just kind of doing random videos. And he was this fucking small guy, maybe like 130 pounds. And then one day he just did a mukbang video. And that video took off. And so we kept doing it. And eventually he started gaining weight. Mm-hmm. And, as he got like 200 pounds, he's like, oh, I'm going to lose this weight. And then he started rationalizing it. It's like, oh, it's just water weight. And then he got to 300 pounds and just like, oh, well, fuck it. And he just became this fat guy. And he kept rationalizing it. Like he said like, oh, I'm gaining weight because of stress, not because I'm doing 10,000 calorie videos where you sit down and eat 10,000 calories in one video. It's so weird. And oh man, it's so sad because he's quite literally killing himself. And he's doing it for millions of dollars, and so I guess he's living life up while he's doing it. But
what about these 1,000-pound sisters that have a fucking show?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want to do, I guess. Right. But oh man, it's just sad to see, when people
like to watch people self-destruct. Apparently, I don't know.
Yes, and it's sad because it's like,
well, we've always liked that. We like watching accidents and shit.
Yeah, as a culture, we're encouraging these people to like kill themselves, and they're doing it because they like the attention and they're addicted to the money and the attention. And it's like, fuck, man, I wish you didn't have to do it this way.
All attention's good attention. We learn that as kids.
Till you're 800 pounds.
Well, I'm just saying, like, some people just never learn
any
the
attention.
difference.
Yeah, that's true. Well, especially when you're getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a whole other level of like, okay, this is what I need to be doing.
I'll tell you straight up right now, if we fell into something, let's say we're doing this podcast and we did something fucking gross, stupid, or whatever. Like, for example, your little drop some food out of your mouth and pick it back up and put it in your mouth. All of a sudden we get, 1 million views. People are like, oh my God, I gotta watch that. I wouldn't do it.
You do it if you got a check for $1 million that said do it again.
Nah,
100%.
I don't think I would.
If it's
well,
not,
I mean, something stupid like that's different. But
yeah.
Like, something.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree.
If it's something that's hurting me over, like,
if it's something like that is actually going to have detrimental physical health issues.
Yeah. If you told me I had to do it like 10 times only and that's it, I'd probably do it. Because then I'd be like, I'll take that $10 million and I'll go do.
Right, like I do a 10,000 calorie mukbang video for like, a good amount of money for like a big check, a couple $100,000. Sure, I do that.
Oh, fucking right, I would.
And then, but I'm not doing it regularly.
Right, exactly.
I might never do it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
I know I just work it off for a few weeks. I just get rid of.
Just go on a pretty serious deficit. Do a lot of.
I wouldn't even have to do it for a couple weeks. Just a couple days, really, of just blow it off.
Do a couple days fast.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the UFO stuff. So this is there was a Freedom of Information request that was requested by, I think it's the Sun, in 2017 that just recently got released. Or they got 1,500 pages of UFO related research declassified, and this stuff is interesting because this is information coming directly from the government, and it's information about like people getting radiation burns. I guess there was one woman that got pregnant. Certain injuries. I guess there are examples of people that have died. I think there's a guy, a military doctor who like was kind of treating people who encountered UFOs and kind of got sicknesses, and I think he said like 1 in 10 of his patients in this regard like died. So that's 10% of people were dying. This is like a dark kind of. A dark alley down the UFO path where it's like, what are these things? It also gives us a lot of information too on how they might function, because it implies that there might be some kind of electromagnetic propulsion, some sort of radiation. Maybe they're nuclear. I don't think it's like radioactive radiation poisoning. But maybe, I don't know. This one says suffering radiation burns, brain and nervous system damage, unaccounted for pregnancy. There was one unaccounted for pregnancy, so it's not like a common thing.
Okay, hold on. Unaccounted for pregnancy. What do you mean?
You got pregnant, but you didn't have sex?
Can they 100% prove that?
I mean, they can't 100% prove that.
Did she slip a dick in at one point?
Maybe. She could be lying. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's also...
That one doesn't move the mercury at all. A lot of people lie about weird shit.
It's... This kind of stuff, though, has been... It's been circulated in the UFO community for a while.
Like, that's something, though, that if someone gets pregnant and then they give birth to the baby, just do a DNA test.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You're going to find DNA of men, and then, you know what I mean? Like, that would be enough that you could do forensic, like, back check to find something like that.
Yeah, I don't know the story of
what she gave birth to, like, a fucking lizard baby or something, now you're impressing the shit out of
it. It wouldn't be a lizard baby, because they'd be... The idea is that they're
or even a baby
hybrids.
Or even a baby that didn't have like a perfect genetic signature of an actual human. Like there was something off.
Well, what if this is a part of the plan?
What do you mean?
So surely you're familiar with the idea that aliens kind of
could be trying to outbreed us.
Well, genetically engineered us from the get-go.
Yeah,
and so that could be a part of it. Periodically, they come down and they
retool it?
They sort of
retool it.
Well, they just impregnate a woman with like a baby that has more of their DNA.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then it would be mostly human. It would appear human. It would act human to be raised as a human, but it's got like this higher DNA. So that as it reproduces, it spreads those genes more in the history. So it elevates human evolution, possibly. I don't know. That could be what's going on. Because that has been a thing that has happened like more than once. It's just interesting that is coming up. This is coming up in a government document.
That explains why Johnny's a lot smarter than me.
What's that?
That explains why Johnny's a lot smarter than me.
Johnny? He's an alien.
He's actually an alien.
Yeah. Could
be. Beat me. He beat my test scores. It's obvious he's an alien.
Yep.
Prick. And who did... You said the government declassified this?
Yeah, these are documents from ATIP, which was a classified government program that became declassified. Have you heard the name Lou Elizondo?
No.
Lou Elizondo is a guy that is a public figure now who worked on ATIP, and then he came out after ATIP became declassified. He talks a lot about UFOs and stuff now, because that's what they were doing. ATIP stands for Advanced Aerial Threat Identification Protocol or something, or program.
When did they declassify this? Like, when's the information from?
Right around, do you remember when the Pentagon released that video in the New York Times? That, like, first in, like, 2012 or something?
For what? Like, give me a little more context.
Well, there's a famous Commander Fravor Nimitz show. Fravor was on Joe Rogan where they the fighter jets.
Yeah, the fighter
and
jet
that
thing?
video was
that
video was released through the Pentagon through the New York Times.
Fucking was moving around.
Right around that time is when ATIP was declassified.
That was 2012.
I don't know. It could have been later.
It just seems like it'd be later.
Steamballing or
that's
spitballing.
10 fucking years ago.
I don't know. I don't know anymore. The timeline with COVID is so confused.
Oh sure, yeah. But it just doesn't seem. That seems like it would have been something that would have been like more recent, like maybe 2018 or something. But anyways, okay. So now I know what you mean. All right. So this is part of that too. Like they declassified it at the same sort of time.
This?
Yeah.
No, this was just declassified like yesterday.
No, but I mean, when was this when did they have this information compiled from? Is this like a while back or is this?
Well, the program ran from 2007 to 2012.
Oh, okay.
That's how long ATIP was a thing.
Oh, all right.
So who knows if it's still going on under a different name?
So, but 10 years later, they declassified it.
Yeah, only because of a freedom of information request.
That's pretty fucking soon though. Like you don't usually hear of stuff being declassified 10 years later. Like, look at the Kennedy shit. It's just starting to be declassified now. But the Kennedy shit
is a little bit different because it's like who knows who's implicated or what's implicated.
What I'm saying though is like it's like they did this on purpose with the Kennedy shit because it's like they're waiting it out to like anybody that would have any involvement are already dead.
Yeah.
So like who are you going to hold accountable now? You're going to hold the government accountable? Fuck off. Nobody's going to hold the government accountable. They're just going to be like that was a different
government. You already
government.
have things like MK Ultra that. Right. But I think this is just a part of the, for whatever reason, they're drip feeding UFO stuff to the public for, last 10 years or so, which is weird.
What do you think? What do you think?
I don't know.
Well, what do you think? Come on, you have a
I could go a bunch of different. It could be that it's mostly highly classified government projects that are illegal. Because there's an international agreement to not build sort of like nuclear powered vehicles or any more than they already have, like not to develop new ones. And there's a lot of theories that these things would possibly be using nuclear reactors to generate the amount of power that they need to sort of create gravity thrust or gravity engines.
I have a weird theory.
And so, let me finish.
No.
And so the idea is that maybe that they've like perfected it almost, and they have these and now they need to get it out there without implicating themselves as like criminals. So it's like, oh, the aliens, Another way is that it is just aliens, and the activity is escalating.
Now you're going into a second theory, you jerk. I have one.
Yeah, I know. I want to do both my theories first.
Big jerk. Why? Because you're afraid that mine.
Well, I said originally that I had. You
said you didn't.
Two different angles.
You said you didn't know, and then I pressed you for a theory. Now you gave me two. Yeah. You're a theory bully, is what you are.
I am a theory bully.
Fucking theory bully, man.
Well,
let me get my theory out.
All right.
And it's cool because it relates back to our original the start of the podcast. This might have something to do with the fact that Elon, maybe they're trying to beat Elon to space type thing. So in other words, they feel like if Elon does what he's saying he wants to do, and we're able to get we become essentially, our neighborhood spacefaring. So we start to go like Mars or even the moon, and we start to really actually terraform the moon and stuff like that. He might find some shit on there that they already know that's there.
Apollo missions?
What's that?
Like because of the Apollo missions?
Well, not even that. Well,
you know about the weird stuff from the Apollo mission.
But I'm saying, because some people would say that those didn't even happen. But
that's I'm talking about like what the astronauts have said.
Yeah,
that's weird. It's like, why would they say these things?
But I mean, just who knows? Maybe.
And like, did you see the videos of them when they first came home, with the Apollo 11 astronauts? Like it was like they'd seen a ghost.
Oh,
like you would expect them to be all excited, like they're being welcomed back to their country, to their planet as heroes of having just accomplished like the greatest feat in mankind, and it was like they'd just seen a ghost and they're not allowed to talk about it. Like there was just a disconnect between their faces and what was happening, which is weird. And then you have like Buzz Aldrin was saying a lot of weird stuff about like monoliths on Mars and the moon, and there's audio of them talking about like visitors while they're on the moon. Like so they're on the moon, like, oh, we got another visitor today. And one guy even one of the clips is him saying it's almost not even worth talking about, as if it was happening so long. There were astronauts saying that they were followed. So it's like, who the hell knows what's going on with that? It could be aliens there. It could be like the government has these UFOs and they're following them.
Yeah.
To, I don't know.
My curiosity goes like through the roof when it comes to shit like this. Like,
because it's so open-ended.
I want to know, right? I want to know something.
Because all we have are these little bits of information. And so we know that there's something there. We have enough pieces of the puzzle to be like, okay, there's a picture here. But we have no idea whether that picture is, the Eiffel Tower or a fucking whale in the ocean.
Yeah. Well, just like the weird things, like even scientifically, the idea that such a large planetary body would tidal lock with the size of a planet like Earth, right? Like that's not normal even, right? So the fact
but you know what the theory was, right? That it was two planets that...
Well, I know, but I'm saying though, for the idea that at some point, like that it was able to tidal lock with it, just by the sheer size of that compared to the size of the Earth, like the moon should be much smaller to be able to tidal lock with the Earth. So it's like
hollow,
and that's why it's affecting. And there's other things where they talk about like the mass.
Gravity is uneven.
That's what I'm saying. The mass of the moon comparatively what it should be. The mass of what it should be. There's all kinds of different.
It's
weird
really even. Like it's
things.
So uneven to a point that if you create an orbit around the moon in the wrong spot, you'll fall out of orbit.
Yeah.
Because in some places you're gonna it's gonna be stronger or it's gonna
Which
be lighter.
Which would seem to say that it's unbalanced in its weight. Which would suggest that it's maybe not hollow on one side, which is
maybe it's
a theory.
Maybe it's built out.
Yeah, which is a theory that that it's a base.
There's a lot of weird images that seem to show what things that look like structures on the surface.
Yeah,
things that are like really tall and skinny.
Yeah,
and that's all you get. They're blurry images, but there's clearly something tall and skinny there.
Yeah,
or squared off on the surface.
You know what I want to happen? This is what I want to happen. I want that
the aliens just to tell us what's going on.
No, not even that. Well,
that'd be nice.
Kind of close though, but that the aliens that are watching, so they're watching our podcast right now because they're taking notice because we're saying things that are that's sticking out, and they come to me and say, "Hey, you were so close that we're gonna take you, and we're gonna show you everything." Like because your brain seems to get, it seems to understand it on the level. So we're gonna take you. We're gonna include you into it, right? Like, do you ever see the movie? Well, you wouldn't have seen this probably because it was a long time ago. The Last Starfighter.
No.
It's a kid. I think it's a kid. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember the details, but it's basically a kid. I think that gets picked because he's really good at a fucking video game to come actually fly these alien spacecrafts and save a distant galaxy. It's stupid, but that's what I want, man. I just want to go and fight. I want to be the last Starfighter. I'm not asking for much.
No, that's not much. No,
I don't think it's much.
That's hardly asking for anything.
I'm not even saying that I want to save the galaxy.
It's like asking for socks for Christmas.
I would think, yeah. Well, maybe it's like asking for like a special type of sock. You're being specific a little bit, but give me the fucking socks.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be a dick. Yeah. What else did you want to talk about?
My other theory was
we're not getting off aliens. That's what's gonna be
Maybe
funny about
not.
this. Probably not.
well, my other theory that you interrupted was
Fuck you. I
that
interrupted.
they're aliens, and the activity we've known that they're aliens for a while. Like we have craft, and there's some government craft, but that they've reverse engineered or at least incorporated the technology into, and then now more recently the activity is ramped up because it has. That's kind of what the people like the Ross Coultharts and the journalists that sort of have individuals in the government have been reporting and have been seeing is that like the activity has been ramping up a lot, especially around like military compounds and nuclear weapons and warships and stuff like that, to where now they're kind of panicking a little bit because they don't know what the intention of these things are. They don't know if they're good, bad, what they want. They just know that they're there and they have this technology that outclasses us, several orders of magnitude over. And so now they're like, fuck, we're going to have to, we have to let people know about this because this is a serious issue. But we can't just come out and say it because we've been lying about it for so long and so many people will be in denial that now maybe they're just kind of drip feeding this stuff out there. This information that they've compiled, some of it, is they've had for a while, but it's like just one piece after another piece, so that when something happens that's undeniable, or they have to come out and fully disclose that, yeah, there's an extraterrestrial presence on Earth, it's less of a shock.
Maybe.
It's one of the things that people have said who are in the know are that at least the people who have the power to decide whether or not the public is let known or made known about some of this stuff, they think that this is a very serious national security threat, and that's why they are keeping it a secret. Because, like, to them, it's like, this is very, very serious. Like, whether they're right or wrong, like, that's kind of what they think.
But if these aliens are that much more advanced, what would stop them from doing it? It's a public threat. How's it a public threat? I mean, if they wanted to end us, they could, I guess.
And that's what makes it a threat.
But I know. But what I'm saying though is our awareness of it being a threat or not doesn't change it. They could do it anytime they want. So why wouldn't they have done it by now?
Because you don't want to. You don't know what they're doing. Yeah. It could be much worse than them just coming over and taking over. They could be using us as like a farm, or they could be harvesting something, or whatever. And you don't want to panic people by coming out and saying, "Yeah, there are these fucking aliens here doing shit, and we don't really know what's going on with them."
I would say it's more likely that they would be like farming the planet for shit.
Possibly, they could be farming humans for stuff.
It could be, but yeah, I don't know about that. Just because like biological creatures, like if they were advanced enough, they could probably like we've cloned fucking things.
Yeah, but what if that's what we are?
Well, we could be, but
like the whole planet is a project for them to get something. I don't know.
Yeah,
they just need human semen. This is all a project to get human semen.
Yeah, I don't think that. Just because I don't think we're all that important. But I think it would be more for like resources on the planet. Maybe this planet, because it's so abundant in some type of thing that they need, that they. I don't
agree with that at all, because there's so many planets that don't have life, or at least complex life like this, that it wouldn't make a lot of sense to go to one like this one, because there's just such a wealth of stuff in the universe.
Could be
it's absolutely everywhere.
Could be something as simple as a group of fucking advanced species fucking with this planet.
It could be. That's some of the theories that there are multiple.
Did you ever watch Star Trek?
No.
So Star Trek: Next Generation, there was a character called Q, and he was in basically he was like almost like a god. He was like. Yeah, that's the best way to describe it.
Was he like a cyborg?
He could do anything. No, he was an alien, a species, but I don't know if they lived forever. I can't remember if they lived forever, but they fucking lived millennium. Like they lived pretty much forever. I'm pretty sure they were. Anyways, but completely omnipotent, the equivalent of a god, essentially to humans, and he would fuck around with like Picard and the crew of the Enterprise and stuff. But it was always like, you know, he would fuck with them, but at the same time, he would keep them safe in a way, right? Like, he would try and let them learn from what they were doing. And if they were fucking around, he would, you know, he would do it in funny ways.
He'd fuck with them, but there's a lesson in there.
Yeah,
kind of thing,
yeah. Like, he's like, okay, like at one point, he saves them. He saves basically humanity, but it's by putting Picard through time. Like, he makes him travel through time, so he's like living in different time periods. And he goes back to a time period where he had opened up a warp bubble or something like that, or some kind of black hole by accident, by doing this thing that ended up creating this giant black hole later in the future. And anyway, so that's how the one story went. But he was around. He was a character who was around all the time. He would show up different episodes, and he was a really cool character. But it could be something like that, right? Just something as simple as that, like some kind of species that's bored and curious and just fucking with us because it's like, hey, this is fun. Like a kid playing with fucking ants and shit, or screwing with, you know what I mean? It's the same thing to them. They're just like, these things are silly little playthings for my amusement. They don't care, nor, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have any feeling about what they're doing. They're just like, these things are fun to fuck with.
That is one of the ideas, is that because let me finish chewing here.
Finish mukbanking yourself? Mukbang? You said?
Mukbang.
Mukbang.
Muckbang.
Mukbang. Finish mukbang.
It's like a Korean word, I think.
Yeah.
That's where it started.
First time I heard about it was with you. So mukbang.
Really, because it's like huge.
I don't know. I know ASMR, but I don't know.
It's a huge trend. Yeah, it's like ASMR.
Yeah. I like calling it ASMR. It's like asthma. It's ASMR.
ASMR.
Yeah, you got your little ASMR.
Little ASMR. One of the ideas is that there are multiple. Well, okay. It feels weird to me, and I think this is the human. Now I have the hiccups. Burping. I don't know. Human beings seem to have a hard time entertaining like multiple possibilities at the same time.
Yeah.
They kind of need to be like, okay, it's this or it's this or it's this, and it can't be like, well, you know, some of them are this, probably and some of them are that, and probably all of them to some degree, right? So there's the idea of like people will say like, oh no, the UFOs they're interdimensional, some kind of interdimensional phenomenon, and then people are like, no, they're aliens, like actual space aliens from other planets, astronauts from other planets. And people are like, no, it's government, you know, stuff, and it's like. Probably to some degree, depending on
could be all of it.
Each of them, yeah, like, you know, different things are different things, and so one of the ideas is that there are many species of aliens that are here. Some of them are hostile, like maybe they want to control the planet or to control humanity or something like that. Or maybe they just don't like humanity, and then some of them are like more like they want to help humanity more.
Kind of like Thor and his brother.
Yeah, similar to that.
One's fucking
and then
around,
some of them just don't give a fuck, right? Some of them are just here kind of learning stuff. And they're like, whatever, I don't really care about this. You know, I'm not invested in this. Like I just like to go and look, you know, and study it.
It's like pulling the wings off a fly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like when people do shit like that, they don't think about the fly. They don't give a fuck. It's like, it's a fucking fly.
Yeah, and so it's possible that there are these warring factions of aliens. There was one idea that but that I heard about, that is that there is like a conflict over the Earth, as like not just the Earth but like the solar system or like this part of the galaxy or something, where different groups are sort of almost at war, maybe not like, you know, shooting each other kind of war, but maybe like a political war to gain power over this area of the
universe,
of the galaxy, maybe,
galaxy,
or you know, universe is big, but maybe galaxy, or maybe even just part of the galaxy, or you know, this section of solar systems. And, you know, some of them, you know, like obviously we don't have a say in any of it, but it's like, oh, maybe some of them are, you know, a little bit more benevolent, and some of them are malevolent, and some of them just want to study us.
Yeah, I think it would. If I were to think logically, if I tried to add logic to it, I would say that it's probably more like the lack of real empathy. Like maybe empathy is something that's more of a human thing, and because who knows if real
I'm
like
sure
other
some of them are like that.
yeah, who knows if even other animals on this planet have any form of empathy whatsoever.
No,
So
we can see that some do.
you can see in some, but I'm saying
Not
but,
all.
Like,
and some of them definitely don't.
right.
Yeah.
So like, what if they just look at us like just some disposable thing, and they're just like, I don't care either way about this thing. Like I don't
Something to learn about.
I don't have a feeling either way about it. I don't really care. Like I'm not worried about it makes a weird scream when I rip its arm off. Oh, that's okay. That's interesting. Let me just document that. Oh, it dies shortly after. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like it's real fucking cold and gross when you think about it like that. Like it's scary. It's got that idea of like sociopath or something, because you're like,
That's
how
the
could you
idea,
care about us?
Behind what the reptilians are.
Yeah. Like it's
Like they don't have that empathy.
Yeah.
And they kind of want to take over and like control us. Mm-hmm. For for a game, maybe similar to like
or for their own gain in some way, like they put us.
But it could be just their own gain in like the same way we would go into like a Sims world,
yeah,
and we'd be like, all right, let's just wall off this sim and see what happens to it, and it's like, that kind of control over us, maybe.
Yeah,
scary.
No, I know it's every one of those theories,
and we're defenseless.
Yeah, every one of those theories could be true in its own right. They could all be happening simultaneously, which is the funny thing about it, right? But I don't know how this links back to what you were saying about this declassification. I don't know. Maybe if people know things, or
well, you just asked what it is.
I just tend to believe that it's always about control somehow. Like when somebody's doing something like that, it's always about control. Like it's never, oh, we're going to do this because we think it's for the betterment of everybody. Because when you get to a high enough level of the elites, if you will, government, things like that, humans become playthings. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like they don't, I think they lose their humanity at that point because they don't.
That's what you have what's going on with like Bill Gates, right? And studying the malaria vaccine where like they all got really sick.
Yeah. When they start getting to that level, and you're so your hubris is so much so that you think that you know what's right for everything.
You're on another level.
Yeah. So then you're like, you just come in and you go, no, this has to be done for the greater good of everyone because I know better than everyone else. You're just a fucking human, you goof.
It gets terrifying when you think about like the Georgia Guidestones, saying keep the population at 500 million. It's like, what if some psychopath gets into power who believes that is what we need to do? Mm-hmm. Whether they're right or wrong, they will probably do some horrible things to accomplish that goal. Yeah. And it's like,
it'd be another Hitler.
Jesus Christ. It'd be worse than that.
So imagine if Hitler actually had won.
Yeah, who knows what would happen?
Well, we do know certain things would have happened.
Yeah, some things, but
he would have continued. He would have continued his grotesque shit that he was doing in the. Oh, you go nuts, man!
I will.
He would continue his grotesque shit that he was doing in the camps. Mm. He would be doing the same thing he wanted to do, where he was creating the perfect Aryan race. Mm-hmm. He would do all those kinds of things, right? So
human experiments.
Yeah, he'd be doing different experiments on people and such. And
I mean, they're doing that in China.
I shouldn't say this, but. Here's the counter gross thought to that kind of stuff. And I remember we talked about this before when I talked about vivisection and stuff, right? Remember when I said, you know what vivisection is? I'll remind you. I told you about this before back in like I think it was the 1400s, something like that, where they would skin people
didn't tell
alive.
me about it in the 13 or 1400s. I remember exactly what I was doing, and you did not tell me about it.
Oh, I didn't? Oh, okay. No. Well, they were doing it just in the neighboring lab.
In the neighboring lab?
Yeah, in 1347.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was they got a guy named Hank. He was a street.
Were there
performer.
Hanks back then?
Yeah, I feel like there were.
How old is the name Hank? I wonder.
I don't know.
I want to know.
There were Alexanders, man.
Yeah. Alexander goes back.
There's no fucking Tylers. Tyler's a goof name that some asshole named Chad came up with. Chad in like the 80s.
Think so.
Like, I'm gonna name my son Tyler.
Listen, it's a good name.
You know what's funny though? Most Tylers I've met, maybe all of them, are usually pretty cool fucking dudes. Say with the exception of you. But every other one, they're usually pretty cool dudes. Anyways, but vivisection, they would take people and skin them alive so they could see how their body...
Yeah.
Yeah, remember I told you this? But, hold on, what was my... Oh, geez, I lost my original point on it?
The counter to the horrible stuff.
Oh, yeah. So that was horrible, right? That was fucking horrible. But without that, we would have
Learned
lost a lot
stuff.
of medical breakthroughs, essentially, right? So
I feel like if we just waited till a time that we could like just completely numb the people first, that might have been a little bit better.
Right.
And then just do it to like rapists,
Yeah.
child rapists, maybe not just rapists.
But if you took like, let's say what was that thing you called Georgia what?
The Georgian Guidestones.
Georgian Guidestones. So if you took this idea and they said, hey, we're going to take it down to 500 million or whatever, and it was horrible what they did and all this shit. But then afterward, it was like utopian. You'd be like,
turns out that that's like the perfect population for
right.
everything.
You imagine that, like obviously you could never, being where we're at now, say, yeah, we're good with that. Let's do that. You could never do that, like unless you're a fucking, you got to be crazy. You got to be a fucking sociopath. But
Psychopath,
exactly. Yeah.
I don't even think a sociopath could do that.
Enough. Yeah, exactly. It would have to be a psychopath. But yeah, so then, but then after it happened, you'd be like,
Heaven on earth.
you're like, okay, I guess I'm happy that happened. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck do you wrap your justification around it after the fact? Like, it's so fucking crazy when you start thinking about weird shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, like Hitler's an easy thing because the guy was an evil fuck and he was discriminate against certain races and stuff. And now something like this for these guys, these Georgia fucking Guidestone guys, unless they're like completely racist where they're saying the 500 million people would be of a specific type of person. But if they were just saying, a healthy mix of everybody. What's that?
It just says 500 million. It
Yeah,
doesn't specify who.
Yeah.
I mean, no one knows where these stones even came from or like who put them there,
Yeah.
who wrote those. They're a mystery. So
I don't agree with that anyway. I don't think that's true at all. Like,
no, I don't think that's way too low.
Yeah, exactly. I think the planet's fine. Even with what we have now, I think
it's sustainable with minor changes, I think.
Like they've said
we're moving in that direction too. Like what was it? Steven Pinker's book. It shows like virtually every metric up until recently, because I think some of them have gone the other way because of recent stuff. But say up to 2010, every single metric that you would say, okay, yeah, that's something we want, to reduce or to increase was going in the right direction, right? Poverty is down, crime is down, sort of starvation, carbon emissions, all of these things were down.
They're trending down, yeah.
Happiness is up. So we're moving in the right direction. I think that when it comes to technology and like, the climate change issue, I think it's a non-issue, not because it's not happening and
just because it's not
a risk.
Yeah.
I think that just probably not too far into the future, producing those kinds of emissions is just not going to be the optimal way to get energy. Right? I think eventually we're going to have like nuclear fusion, and it's going to, obviously that's just going to be a way better way to get power than a coal plant. We already have nuclear fission, which people are afraid of because it's nuclear, but like it's still better. And then I think electric vehicles are getting to a point where it's like, if we have like a fusion reactor and like a shit ton of energy, we could build things like excavators that don't need to use gas because it'd be just more efficient to pump a shitload of electricity in there than to burn the gas. You'd get more out of it. So I think that eventually, virtually everything is going to trend towards electricity, and electricity is going to get easier and easier it's going to get easier and easier to make. So we're going to have more and more of it, all the way up until we build a Dyson sphere. Like we can have nuclear reactors in orbit that are sort of beaming power down. That's possible.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I guess it's theoretically possible. It's not possible now because we don't do it, but
yeah,
it's theoretically possible. But no, I'm with you. I think that I think some of the things that they thought, like for example, the idea it was 9 billion people. Once the population reached 9 billion, that was going to be the tipping point, and they thought 2050 was when that would happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyways. But the trends are trending down as far as
I didn't know this until the COVID stuff happened, but like a lot of these models, these algorithms are genuinely stupid.
Yeah.
Like
look at the COVID models.
Well, but it's not just like, oh, the result was different than the model.
No, I know, but
it was literally the COVID model, the main one that they were using at the beginning, was basically just a slightly modified version of like the first SimCity game.
Yeah.
Like it was so simple.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is way more complicated than this. How could you even present this as a viable model to try and predict this stuff? And yet they did it and they ran with it and they're like, this is what's happening.
It really is unbelievable how serious they took some of these models and how fucking ridiculous they were. They turned out to be completely
just
asinine.
look at the social distancing thing.
Yeah.
It's completely made up.
It was based on some 14-year-old kid's fucking idea.
It was literally just made
Some
up.
high
There's
school-
absolutely no real reason to believe that it would have any effect, that it would do anything. The 2 meters.
We just got this video banned.
Yeah, maybe.
We just did, for sure.
I don't think any of that stuff is controversial anymore. I don't know. A lot. It's so confusing now.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is just coming to the light.
Sorry, 14th subscriber.
Yeah. Just got ourselves banned.
That was our last.
This is the last
video.
statement.
Tyler couldn't keep his mouth shut. You fucking douche. Yeah, just mukbang yourself some more and shut up.
This is true, though. It's all this stuff is so unbelievably simplistic.
Yeah. We overcomplicate shit all the time, right?
Yeah.
I tend to look at things a little more simplistic.
But no, that's not overcomplicating things. They were oversimplifying things,
maybe,
and acting like they had these sophisticated models.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, and it's like, no, we just like slightly modified the code of SimCity from the 1990s and figured that's probably close enough, right? That'll do the trick.
Yeah.
Like,
I could build a wicked city in SimCity.
Yeah.
SimCity 2000. Ooh. I played that a lot.
It's a classic.
Yeah. Did you even play that?
No, I was 3 years old, 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I was playing that in high school. 90, in the early 90s, mid 90s, whatever, 94, 95. Yeah.
It's fucking...
Anyways, but yeah, I digress. Yeah, I would say that a lot of that shit that we come up with these ideas that like the planet being overpopulated and things like that it's wrong. But if, again, to bring back the point, if they were right and someone did it, it's like after the fact.
Not even if they're right, just if enough people think that that's like the way, or that that's, true, and so we need to take some kind of action. Like, that's just terrifying.
Yeah. So like
they're already in China, that the one-child policy for a while.
Well, yeah.
And now they're
push it back to the fucking elites, to the masters of the universe, and they all agree on one thing, and they all say, "Hey, this," and they go, "Yeah, I can agree with that. Let's agree with that."
Yeah, who knows what they think behind the scenes in the deep state?
Yeah, and they all execute, and they say, "Yep, that's what we're gonna do," and they fucking do it, and they manipulate us in a way with the information to get us to be to go along with it, right?
Yeah.
To be complicit.
I saw Alex Jones went on the Nelk Boys podcast shortly after.
Don't tell me what he says. That guy's fucking Nostradamus.
I mean, yeah, he might be, but he was saying that Hitler was being used by like some of these. I don't know what the big names were back, like the Rothschilds, maybe. Like the what were the elites of the time?
That'd be weird if it was the Rothschilds.
I don't know,
because weren't they Jewish?
I don't know. Well, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm just saying, but that would be kind of weird.
Yeah, but I don't think it was about. Like, I don't think they would have given a shit, right?
Yeah.
If they had these, because the idea is that these. I don't know if it's like government deep state kind of stuff. These like powerful elite types people, they had like a plan, and they wanted to. I don't know, maybe to. Make money through war or whatever. They wanted to create some kind of outcome. So they were using Hitler because they knew that he was like some fucking crazy dude, and they were kind of grooming him a little bit to almost using him to start this war. And
apparently he's quite charismatic. He was quite charismatic.
Yeah.
He was like he got people fired up. Yeah. He was almost like a Trump in a way.
Yeah, it's not a good.
Well, I'm saying it's funny though, because
like a lot
Trump,
of people.
But Trump is charismatic, right?
Yeah.
He's very charismatic.
Yeah.
So I'm not making.
He had
a
a chance.
I'm not making that correlation because I don't think
do it. So
what's that?
Trump had a chance and he didn't do it.
Oh yeah. No, but I mean the whole idea that it's like you get a face of something, right?
Yeah. You get people to get behind it. You couple it with desperation.
Which is kind of funny, though, because if you think about this in this way, here's another conspiracy theory, if you will, that Trump was just the face of where the Republican Party wanted to go. And they just basically implanted this guy in there and made him the fall guy, essentially, right? Like they knew he was going to be the way he is.
Well, I would argue not so much the face of where the Republican Party wanted to go. I don't think the Republican Party wants to go there. I think the deep state wants to go a different direction than like the direction that Trump was pushing.
Destroy the Republican Party by making it.
Well, possibly that, because the Democrats are controllable, right? Because like Obama was in the White House recently. Yeah. Like, what the hell? Why is Obama still hanging around the White House? Yeah, that's a little bit sketchy.
That is crazy.
That's a little bit eerie.
Do you think she runs?
Oh, Michelle Obama? Yeah. I don't know.
I think she does.
Maybe.
I think she runs.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think she runs this. I think she might even run this next election.
I think maybe not the next one. I think Hillary Clinton.
No. I don't think. Talks. I know there's talk. I don't think so though. I don't think she gets the nomination because I think she's already had her chance. I think she's too. They're gonna look at it this way. She wasn't popular enough. Or it'll be the most
blatant.
Yeah, but she wasn't popular enough to beat Trump the first time.
Yeah.
Do you think she's gonna be popular?
I think the opposite is true. I think the opposite is true. She was so unpopular that she won Trump the election because that's ultimately what it was.
That's
right?
What I'm saying. Like she was so unlikable, realistically, the Democrats should have won that election. They won the popular vote. They should have won the election. It's just because she's so unlikable. I think
for a good reason though.
I think it's because she's so unlikable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think she ends up. She ends up running.
Maybe though.
Not even.
Who knows?
I mean, maybe potentially as a vice president, but I don't think Carrigo would let her do that.
Yeah, who should be vice president for though? Joe Biden, right, Kamala Harris, a Kamala Harris, Hillary Clinton ticket. That would be. I mean, that just the Republicans would win.
That chick is. That chick is downright weird. She's just weird.
Kamala Harris.
Yeah, she's just weird. Like
I think she's actually evil.
I don't think so. I think she's just partially.
I think she's actually. Did you hear about the stuff that she was doing?
I think she's just partially dumb. Like I think she just did you hear way out of her depth.
Did you know what she was doing with the prisons in? I think it was California, where she was in charge of the prisons there.
I don't know.
She was bragging about wrongfully, like what she was doing was technically illegal.
Oh, do you mean when she was?
She was keeping people in jail. Yeah. She was keeping people in jail longer than their sentences, specifically to get free labor out of them. And she was like laughing about it and talking about how it was such a great thing that she was doing this for the state. And it's like,
you know what?
I think that's evil.
I think she's one of these people that like when somebody laughs at a joke that they shouldn't laugh, or they're like, they're
laughing because they don't know.
Yeah, or they feel awkward, or they maybe don't understand, and then they laugh and stuff.
Yeah,
that's kind of like the feel I get with her. It's like everything's misplaced. Like, did you see that one where she's with the Polish I don't know, president or what the fuck do they have there? I'm not sure. One of the leaders from Poland, let's say. that'll encompass it. Yeah. And a reporter asks her about taking refugees in from the United States, because Poland is being overrun essentially at this point now with Ukrainian refugees, and she literally looks over at him and she goes, I'll let you take that question. She's like, and then she's like, I forget what she says, something like a friend in need's a friend indeed, or something like that. And she starts,
her laugh is,
she starts fucking laughing.
It's her laugh is like a cackle.
But you just look at her and you go, what? Like, that's not funny. You know what I mean? Like when somebody's around that is off on the jokes, or laughing at the wrong times, or saying the weirdest stuff, but it's not funny, and they think it's funny, and they're laughing, and you're all kind of like, oh yeah, and everybody's like politely laughing.
Or
that's what she gives.
It's not that she thinks it's funny; it's that it's all completely contrived, and because she's a psychopath, she doesn't actually She doesn't actually have a grasp on human nature, and so she's like really acting, but she's getting it off in some things. Yeah. Like there are some parts of her act that just don't jive. Yeah, but she doesn't know; she's completely unaware.
Maybe she's one of the new lizard people.
Oh. Or one of the old ones, just with a new skin.
No. The old ones would be like, they'd know how to handle the human.
I don't know, man. Hillary Clinton has those kinds of moments.
Not really.
No, she has. We saw, we came, he died. Ha 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 ha.
Oh yeah, that's true. That one.
That's weird as fuck, man. What are you doing?
That one was weird, but even like what's his face? Bill Gates had one of those moments where they were talking. They were asking him about about Epstein, and he was like,
"Well, he's dead now, so we have to be careful.
So we have to be careful, or something."
Yeah,
like that. And he was
that was like saying the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, but it was weird when he said it. And it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but I don't think that one sounded more like he was a little bit frustrated that he was asking about this because he's not supposed to. They're not supposed to ask him about this, and he knows that if he says the wrong thing, his life is in danger. Because it's like it's much bigger than him, maybe.
I don't know, man. All I know is, those are people are, they're unhinged. They're losing it.
Or they're gaining control, and they're just getting more brazen with it, and human beings are going along with it.
Well, I feel like
and that's giving them more power or something.
Yeah, maybe they're outliving their programming.
The programming, like they're robots now.
Yeah, like maybe like they were programmed for a certain amount of time on the planet. And now they're supposed to be back. They're supposed to have been recalled.
What if they were like drones sent out? So if you heard the idea that if you like just sent out with current technology and the speeds that we can travel, if you just sent out like self-replicating drones, it'd be like 1 million years only before you populated the entire solar or galaxy.
Really?
Yeah, like it's a really. The way that it expands and goes out, and if they're self-replicating and even just traveling at current speeds.
I guess that's true because, like, if you do the doubling penny over a month.
Yeah, it would take a surprisingly short amount of time to get everywhere. And so maybe that's what some of these aliens are. They're like drones sent out to populate the world. And then they have protocols when they encounter planets with life to maybe, like, assimilate the life. Or something like that into their cultures.
Hey, that's just as plausible a theory, or possible, I should say, not plausible. Possible theory as anything, I think. I'm just doing something on my little game here because
your little ball game.
I'm running out of time.
Oh no!
The reset is about to happen.
The great reset.
Yeah, I gotta do something.
You're gonna own nothing, and you're gonna be happy.
That's right, man.
That's terrifying.
I agree.
What scares me is the price of Bitcoin.
Is that 46,000 or something right now?
I
looked at it today. It was at 40 something, 46, 45.
Yeah, it was not at 46, 45 today.
Why?
Oh yeah, no, it was actually. Yeah, it's down. It's down more than that, but it's at 42 now.
Was that 42?
Yeah, earlier today it was 40 under 44 all day, but it was almost 44. I think it might have peaked.
That might be it. I looked at it earlier and I thought, oh, that's higher than I expected.
Yeah, I just don't like that it's trading as a corollary to the market. Market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. Market goes up.
What did I say when we fucking had that podcast? I said that to when Art was.
Yeah.
When Art was saying that, I said it's very in line with the market, which
has become that. It didn't used to be, but then it became that. And
it's because all the fucking institutional holders that are buying up Bitcoin. So when the
possibly
it's not.
I feel like that would make it go up though.
No, but it's no longer like it's no longer independent of that now. It's a whole part of it.
Right.
So it takes the deregulation of it out of it. You know what I mean? It becomes essentially regulated.
And they're trying to regulate it. I think what was it, Slovenia? I think today, or not today, like a couple days ago, announced that they wanted to have like a flat tax on all crypto transactions.
Yeah. See, this is the beginning.
So it's like, but it's like, what happens?
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to devalue the dollar, so all of your savings are going to be fucked, and then no one's going to have any money anymore. So the stock market's going to collapse. Right. So all of your investments are going to be worthless. Now no one's going to have any money to buy anything. So real estate's going to collapse.
Right.
So like, what do you buy to preserve fucking wealth right now?
Real estate.
Yeah, because at least it still exists, but it's gonna go down. Like
it will. But it doesn't.
Sort of, like your house that you paid $1 million, especially right now, the house you paid $1 million for could easily be worth $100,000 at some point in the next 10 years.
Well, yeah,
20 years.
But it doesn't. But it's still it's a finite.
Yeah,
there's a finite amount of land, right? So like, yeah, you're in the short term. But again, it's one of those things that if you need.
Well, see, what I'm thinking is like, how do you keep that $1 million worth of buying power?
You don't.
That's what Not Bitcoin was supposed to be.
You got to be an Elon essentially, where you can just
create something and you
can control it and manipulate it. Just by buying it, you manipulate it. He buys fucking Twitter, and it goes up 30%. You know what I mean? Like, it's like anything the guy touches, people go, because look at Bitcoin. He tanked Bitcoin by saying that Tesla wouldn't take it anymore. Bang, tanks.
Rallied Bitcoin by saying Tesla would accept Bitcoin.
Yeah, and then I'm sure he did that for Dogecoin, because people were taking their shit out of Bitcoin. They throw it into Dogecoin because he was talking about Dogecoin. So yeah, do I think Elon is brilliant, and do I think he's got some best interests of humanity in mind? Yep. Do I also think he's a greedy fuck at some point, and he's trying to make money where he can make money? Sure. But if he's doing that,
I think he's obviously trying to make money. But I don't know that he's doing that. Here's what I see.
Maybe he's doing that to fund all of his things that he thinks are good.
Here's what I see, though.
He's good, but
I see a guy who he's obviously brilliant. He's a little socially awkward.
Yeah.
Who has become one of the most powerful people on the planet.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to wield it responsibly. Right? Because it's like
almost like a plaything.
Well, it's like Superman discovering his strength. He might accidentally throw a football through a barn.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my God, this guy, he's so evil. He just destroyed that barn just by throwing a football. And it's like, he didn't know what he was doing. It just kind of happened. And I think that might be Elon. Because like, how many of us would go on the internet and talk about like Dogecoin, even just as a joke? Yeah. I mean, millions and millions of people, right? And so then you're someone like Elon Musk. You're like, oh, hey, that's funny. Dogecoin. I love that. Tweets about Dogecoin. And now all of a sudden, oh, shit. Something happened because of that. And it's like, maybe.
I would agree with you.
Maybe.
For someone like us. But him.
But that's what I'm saying.
No, I think.
He wasn't always there.
Yeah, I think he has. I think he has always mentally been a brilliant calculator. I think it's that Asperger's in
that makes him
that way.
So it's socially.
Yeah, but I think it's calculated. I think he understands. Like I know what you're trying to say. I could see him like in a social setting, saying or like acting awkwardly, but I don't think he would say necessarily anything related to say business or money or anything like that wasn't already thought of.
In terms of running a business, but what I think might be more likely is that, like everybody else, he maybe in the case of Dogecoin saw Dogecoin as like a funny thing. He's like, oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna buy some Dogecoins. I'm gonna go and tell all my friends that I bought Dogecoin. How do you do that? Well, you go on the internet. He's like, oh, I bought Dogecoin, and he's like, oh wait, I'm Elon Musk.
I'm Elon fucking Musk.
And which is what like imposter syndrome is a real thing, where like you don't really fully understand that position of fame and influence, especially if you're not necessarily the most socially adept.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's the opposite of that, though. I think that's more where you lose me, because like a Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
I agree with you, because he's just gonna say stuff, and like you can tell he's even struggling with the idea that his little podcast of him and Jamie is the biggest thing on the fucking planet, and he keeps like having to pinch himself. I think someone like Elon is so calculated because of the Asperger's and stuff that he knows very well what he's doing. Like everything he's doing has a purpose. All his tweets, anything he releases, it has a purpose. Like he's trying to get an effect.
I don't know that I buy that. Just because he's got so much going on.
Maybe.
And I could just easily see someone like him, because he kind of casually slipped into this position. I mean, he was a pariah for so long, right? That like he was like the butt of every joke. Like his companies were going to fail, they were never going to make any money, and then bam, they started making money, and now he's the richest man in the world because Teslas are the best car, and it's like that all happened in the last 10 years. Elon's 50, Yeah, so this is all new to him.
Maybe,
and even fucking compared to Joe Rogan is like almost nothing compared to Elon.
Yeah,
like the levels are so fast.
The only difference with Rogan and Elon is Rogan has more people's ear for information, whereas
somewhat.
Yeah, I would say he does, and I would say.
I think if Elon Musk started a podcast, he'd be bigger than Rogan overnight, instantly.
I don't think so,
but he doesn't have the time to do that.
I don't think he would. I don't think anybody would really want to like. You'd get people that would tune in at times, but it wouldn't be the same. Like,
it wouldn't be the same.
The thing about
and people might realize shortly that the that they don't like listening to it as
Yeah.
much. But I think if Elon Musk started a podcast tomorrow, that first episode, it would get, what is a Joe Rogan
11
episode
million?
get? It'd get 10 times that.
You think you get 100 million views?
He might get a billion views.
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah, that first episode, just because of like, this is Elon Musk's podcast. I think everybody would flock to it. It'd be all over the news.
Like,
It'd be plastered everywhere.
Even when he's been on Joe Rogan, it's not been like that.
Those podcasts were huge, though.
I know they were big, but not like that.
But that's because that's Joe Rogan.
What do you mean? But it's Elon Musk on Joe Rogan.
It's his own show, yeah. And like every platform that has Elon Musk on,
but that would be the biggest way for it to
it's-
happen, because you already have the biggest platform with what you're saying would be the biggest guy by 10 times going on the already established biggest platform. Nah, I don't think so at all. I don't think he gets as many views as Joe Rogan even, because Joe Rogan, the thing about Rogan is he's engaging, and what makes him so fucking like what makes him so alluring to people is the middle of the road thing, and the fact that he's like, he'll call bullshit like immediately on people. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. It could be his like best friend on there, and he'll go, I don't agree with that. And he plays devil's advocate. He does all these things that you'd want somebody that is good to engage in conversation to do. Because you wouldn't want somebody just going, oh, yep, everything you say.
That's refined.
Everything you
been
say.
Refined over,
right?
You know, what 10 years of doing this
and
show?
He does it so fucking casually and so fearlessly when it doesn't matter who he's talking to. He has zero fear of them maybe reaching across the aisle and punching him in the face.
Well, yeah, but why would Joe Rogan be afraid of that?
Well, I'm just saying.
Joe Rogan is a guy that is on steroids, and he's a black belt.
No, and that's what,
and he's a
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean?
But that also is what makes him that way, right? That fearless, I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're saying something that's dumb, I'm gonna question you or whatever. So it's all these things
that's what makes the show great.
Yeah,
it's that honest dialogue.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of that.
Yeah, because even when you're listening to ones, and it's happened with me a number of times. I'm listening to one and I'm like, this person, I'd rather not listen to this person. Talk.
Yeah, I feel.
I'll still watch a lot of it because
you probably wouldn't have seen it. There's a podcast, the Peter Beck David podcast. He's like a business guy that has a podcast that I guess has been getting kind of big. But he's had a lot of interesting characters. Like he had Dave Rubin on recently. After he had, which is the big one, Cenk Uygur.
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting because this Peter Beck David guy, he's a Trump guy. He's a business guy. He's a very much the Trump way resonates with this guy, and for some reason, Cenk Uygur went on the show.
That's great. I like
that. People in the comments were saying it was a good.
I like that about Cenk.
Good, honest conversation. I mean, a lot of people were pointing out that Cenk was like lying about some stuff or getting it so wrong.
But I do like that about Cenk. I like that will get in. He'll put himself in the fire, like debating.
No, that's not true.
He debated Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, but
talk about a fucking line with a
in certain instances where there's a lot of money to be made instantly, he'll do it, but he won't go on Tim Pool's show. He's been invited on. He probably has an open invitation, and Tim Pool talks about it because Tim Pool talks about how like he can't get leftists to go on his show, and they'll get a lot of people who will like I think Hassan Piker was like this, where they said like, oh yeah, I'll do it. And then they come up with some excuse not to. And like Cenk is one of the people that just was like, no, they're not going to do it. So it's like, yeah, when you get a situation where it's like you're going to be in a public setting, because that was the Ben Shapiro thing. Like that was in a Coliseum, or not fucking Coliseum. It was like a, what do you call it? Like a fucking place.
It was in a stadium or
stadium, even though it's smaller than a stadium,
or like a auditorium or something.
Auditorium is probably better. It was in a fucking place with an audience, and there was a lot. So you go into a place like that, you could play off the crowd, especially since you got a lot of your people coming, as well as he's got his people, but you got your people to feed off of, and then you get the sound bites from it, and it's like, okay, and I'm gonna make I don't know. Cenk probably made a few $1 million just for doing it.
No, I don't.
Oh yeah, I think it's big enough.
I would make a very large bet that he made maybe $50,000.
No,
I would bet you anything. That's all.
I don't think.
If I hope it's public record, you could check it, but I doubt.
I mean, he could have got paid $50,000 to go and do it. I bet you he made millions of dollars for doing it.
Oh, after the fact, if you're like taking videos
For the
off
sound
of that and
bites.
stuff like that, maybe.
For the sound bites, for the ability to go on your show and be like, "Oh, Ben Shapiro said this," and blah 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 blah, and getting extra views because you get to drop.
Sure, that's
and that's where the money is, right?
Yeah.
So like he'll do that.
He's never been on Rogan, right?
No.
I wonder if Rogan would want him on.
Was he ever on? I don't think he was. I don't know that. Rogan's interesting. Rogan might like him.
Yeah, but then have him on.
Yeah. I don't think he went on Rogan. Oh, no, he definitely didn't go on Rogan because he says that he would fight Joe Rogan.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and Shanksman says a very... he was on episode 499. Way back. That was 2014.
Holy shit.
So yeah, and I think that's a different time for Shank and the Young Turks as well. But on this Peter Beck David podcast, that was just like last week or this week maybe. He even said that like he said that he would kick Joe Rogan's ass, and this guy's like, yeah, but no, you wouldn't. Like he'd kick your ass. And I didn't look at the soundbite. I wish that I did to see exactly how that played out.
People are fucking.
This guy like called. I don't understand that. I don't understand that mindset, especially like you're completely behind the internet for one, but like obviously like Joe Rogan is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I think he's a black belt in kickboxing. If that's a thing that you can get a black belt, he's a kickboxer.
Is it in kickboxing? Or
yeah, I don't know how they do this.
Jiu-jitsu. So
he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Taekwondo, I think maybe.
Yeah, but he's also just kickboxing.
Is it kickboxing too? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, either way, he's an animal. Force. He's a force.
He's on steroids. He's jacked.
He's force. Yeah.
He's like, he's working out like all the time. Like
they talk about just that fucking kick he has. That side kick he does.
Yeah, he's got a fucking kick. It's like, it's not even a question.
I thought I could kick.
Whereas Chank is like, Chank is like overweight and out of shape and
kick right through you with that kick.
Yeah, he'd fucking break every fucking rib in your body, just one fell swoop. But then you have Chank, this overweight guy who's like fucking. Like, he might be one of those guys that's got a little bit of brawn under that fat, but he's not trained in anything. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing if he steps into a ring. Like, yeah, maybe he could get a hold of the average guy and fucking do something to him, but, like, not Joe Rogan. Not somebody that knows, especially jiu-jitsu, where if you do get a hold of him, you're the one that's fucked.
He's just going to take whatever you give him and slap you with it.
He's going to just fold you up.
Yeah.
Like
you give him your arm, he's going to break it. You give him your neck, you're going to sleep.
Yeah. So it's like just to unironically say that. I don't understand the mindset.
Yeah.
It's like such a beta mindset, right? Like it doesn't make any sense to me.
Like anytime I say stuff like that, I've said to people before, and I've gotten a little flack for it. I'm like, I'd fight GSP. Right? And people go, you get your ass kicked. I'm like, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I go 99 times out of 100, you're right. Or 98 times.
And there's
going to be that one time
I get that upper hand.
where I get a lucky punch or he slips and I hit him with there's going to be
something in there.
Yeah. And I don't care though. That's the thing about it. I'm like, if I had a reason to fight him, I'm going to fight him. I'm going to get my ass kicked then, but I'm still going to step two because I had the reason to do it, right? But I don't get the idea of calling people out like that. Like I would never call somebody out like that.
Yeah.
Unless
it's like me saying like, oh, I'd fucking kick Conor McGregor's ass. Like what?
Why say it? Like,
why even try?
The difference between saying that you'd fight him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Like
saying you kick his ass are two different things.
You write me a check for $5 million. I'll let Conor McGregor do whatever he wants to me.
I'll go and give it a go. Like I'll really try and fuck him up.
Yeah. I'll do my best.
I'll do my best to fuck him up. But
I'm not going to sit here and say that. Oh yeah, no, I'd kick his ass. And I'd totally kick his ass. Like what?
And this is the other thing I've said when I say that about like I've said about GSP. I'm like, in a ring, it's pretty much 100% that he's going to beat me. Yeah. Pretty much. I mean, you'd have to get up into the thousands where I win one. And it would be The weirdest shit happened.
Yeah,
he
the
went to
most
step.
fluky, the
He
most
fucking he
improbable.
snaps his fucking ankle. He goes to try and do something, and then I hit him, or I don't even hit him. He just falls and taps.
Yes.
And I win. Like in a ring, absolutely. But in a street fight, it's different. That's
it is
where
a
I
little
give
different.
myself
You get the
that
upper hand,
1-2%.
You might be able to grab
right?
something, whatever.
Yeah, because maybe I poke him in the eye or something or whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, no rules.
But-
you fucking.
But it doesn't mean, yeah. And again, like I'd fight him for $5 million. I'll fight him anywhere you want to fucking fight. Like, of course, because it's $5 million.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna get a beating, but for $5 million, I'll take the beating.
Yeah,
like, and I'll make it. I'll make it last as long as I can.
Yeah,
Just tell him, don't
I'll
do
really, I'll give it a full fucking.
I'll be
go.
like, hey, look, listen. You want to make this last and allow me to survive? Don't try and wrestle me, and don't try and jujitsu me.
and don't hit me.
Well, no, I'd be like, hey, go ahead and swing and do all your shit because I'll do what I can to take what I can. But don't grab an arm and shit because I can't defend that crap. I'm not a fucking jujitsu guy.
You don't know how to get
Yeah,
around
like
that.
I've taken some martial arts, but nothing like that.
Stuff that takes
nothing to their level.
years of training.
Right. Like,
Practice.
so yeah, if you want to make this thing last for more than 30 seconds to a minute, let's maybe not grab any of my extremities. Let's just throw some punches.
Yeah.
You know, maybe even don't kick. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take your chances if
Listen,
you want.
tie your left arm behind your back.
Yeah, that Superman punch you do. Maybe don't do that one either.
Yeah, don't do that.
Just saying. I don't know. There's a few things that you might want to keep out of the repertoire.
Just one big wind up.
Yeah.
Right hook
If
is
you
all
could
you
just do
can
a lot
have.
of these,
We can maybe go a couple
and
rounds.
a lot of these. Just come at me like this, or even if you want to do this.
Yeah, you still
Come at
probably fucking destroy me.
But that's so ridiculous for Cenk to say that. Oh, I could beat him up. Yeah. Okay.
And to be so persistent about it.
You never know.
Like,
Maybe
it's one
he's-
thing to be like, yeah, obviously Joe Rogan, he's
Well,
got
look
all
what
this
Alex
stuff,
Jones
whatever,
was doing when he was that whole fucking crazy shit with Rogan for a while. Maybe they're just trying to attach themselves to the big ship. You know what I mean? Like he's just saying that.
Well,
to-
Alex
to-
Jones and Joe Rogan are like buddies.
No, but
for like 20, 30
I know.
years.
But you remember when Alex Jones was saying
Yeah,
all
when
that
they were
shit
angry.
about when he was and Joe Rogan was saying I don't know what the fuck is going on with Alex Jones. He's like,
because he was upset that it wasn't on his show.
Yeah,
but that'd be like the same thing as like if I was mad and you was like, oh, I'd fucking kick Alex's ass or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily mean it or anything, but
well,
it's
he
like
seemed to mean it when he was doing it. He seemed to mean it.
yeah, but that's because you don't like listen. These are guys that have been buddies for decades.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yeah, sure, there might have been some real anger there.
Yeah.
I don't think either one of them would ever intentionally hurt the other. It's one of those things, like
Yeah.
they're actual buddies.
Yeah, but Cenk might be
Cenk-
doing that to
Cenk
try
is
and
getting
bolster
attention from
himself.
it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which, why?
Did you fucking drink that other beer already too?
There's still beer in there.
Yeah, barely. I can see by the way you're carrying it.
There's still beer in there.
There's barely any beer. There's like a fucking swig.
2 or 3 swigs.
And I know it's gonna happen in what time is it? Any second now.
8:03.
I gotta go to the what? I gotta go piss.
Go pee, man.
Yeah, hold your fucking pee for another. I don't know how much longer we're gonna do this podcast.
Another
We
10
got-
minutes. We're at an
we
hour
got
and
anything
45 minutes.
How long?
We're at an hour and 45 minutes, 47 minutes.
Holy shit! You got anything else to talk about? Or are we just riffing off this bullshit?
I mean, we can maybe talk about the economy a little bit. Because did you hear that? You hear what Walmart's doing?
I don't know.
They now have in-house training for truckers because they can't find truckers.
Oh.
And
Well, that's
the
been a problem
starting
for
salary
years.
is like $110,000 a year.
Yeah, that's been a big problem for years.
Yeah.
When I was working at Convoy, it was the same thing. We
Yeah.
couldn't find truckers, and they had to raise the rates and everything.
Yeah.
So you're getting like you couldn't find them. It was just so hard to
Right.
find truckers. But yeah, I'm not surprised.
It's just like, what's going on? What's going to happen? Like we're not going to have like the transportation costs are going to go up. Prices are going to go up. That's in tandem with inflation. That's already happening. All these issues, man. All these issues are stock markets near all-time highs.
Well, they're raising the minimum wage here again in Ontario by 50 cents.
Yeah, and that's stupid.
I know. All that does is like the fucking people that are doing this. They don't understand how
Money works.
how basic economies work. The idea that you're going to just keep raising minimum wage. Minimum wage is supposed to be starting jobs.
Yeah.
Like kids' jobs, first-time jobs, things like this. We're not supposed to have millions of jobs that are paying minimum fucking wage. The problem lies in the fact that you're not, if you're going to regulate anything, regulate businesses to say, no, you can't. Maybe there's 2 minimum wages. Maybe you have a minimum wage that's a minimum wage for like students and kids and stuff like that. For businesses like, let's say, McDonald's and all these different fast food type places and stuff like that, where their margins are lower and they can't really afford. I mean, McDonald's can, but places that can't afford it. And then say, look, then you have a minimum wage for whatever X, and it's a different minimum wage.
I just don't agree with a minimum wage at all.
Well, I know. I'm saying if you were going to do it at all.
There are better ways to do it.
Yeah, I think if you get rid of a minimum wage altogether, you'd have a better supply demand. People would take jobs.
Yeah.
And they would have more negotiation to actually get paid for a job, like a livable wage, right? Because you'd have, if somebody offered you $6 an hour to do something, you'd be like, oh, fuck no, I'm not going to do that for $6.
I'm not doing this for $6 an hour.
Right. You'd have nobody
eventually
applying
they'd
for
be like,
jobs.
okay, well, nobody wants to do this for $6 an hour. When you have minimum wage, you get that leverage of like, well, this is minimum wage, so you're going to do it for this amount. And usually there's someone that will come and do it for that amount.
It kills the meritocracy of it, right? Like you think.
Oh yeah, well that's what unions do.
I was going to say the exact same thing. A union, like if I come into a union and you're a slag bag and I'm a good fucking worker and we both get paid
it's all about seniority.
$20 an hour, and it's just based on.
No, I might get paid. I might do half the work that you do and get paid, $5 an hour more because you just started.
Yeah.
And I've been there 5 years.
A lot of unions aren't like that. A lot of unions are just like, so when I worked at Campar, didn't matter. You had a certain amount of hours, you got up to the union rate, and the union rate was the same across the board. It went up. Everybody's raise went up the same with the union. So you could have a guy that was there 3 years and a guy that was there 30 years making the same.
Yeah, and that's crazy.
Right. So I don't agree with unions, and I don't agree with minimum wage, all these different things. I think the market can regulate itself.
I think it's not that, well, yeah, like, okay, when I would say, I wouldn't say I don't agree with unions. I would say that I just don't want to be a part of a union. I think that there's a type of person that wants that kind of environment, and there's a type of company and a type of person that would work at that type of company where the situation would work out, where it works out. But then it's like,
I don't agree with that, but maybe.
Yeah, I think there is.
Well, I think any time you've been somewhere, have you worked under a union?
Yeah.
When I was at Campar, and then this most recent company, I wasn't in the union, but it had a union. I think it just protects the lazy workers.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. There are lazy workers.
Well, the people that aren't lazy
will thrive. Exactly. Yeah. That's why I think that like maybe giving people the option to not be a part of the union, not pay the union dues and have a little bit of leverage over their labor, and then you go in there and it's like, well, look, I'm doing twice the work as everyone else, so you're gonna you should pay me more, or you should give me that promotion over that guy. And it's like, okay, yeah, you're outside of the union, you can leapfrog through a meritocracy. Everyone else in the union is like, no, I'm going to be in the union because I'm going to, I just want to show up, do this from these hours, and, basically attempt to do the bare minimum that I can, because that's a kind of person. And it benefits that kind of person because then they're not like constantly getting fired and everything. And the job, like the company still functions when you have those people doing it. Sure, it could maybe function better, but a lot of these companies, like I worked at UPS where they had a union, it's like, you get a lot of that, but it's like it's still functioning, it's still going. And so I think it would benefit certain people if you could be like, no, just opt out of the union, and then you could leapfrog your way up and benefit yourself through actually putting in the effort and showing that you care, instead of being stuck at this like, no, you don't get a wage until you get your 1 year wage, your 3 year wage, whatever it is, and then you got your maximum wage over here. It's just.
My cool little idea I just kind of came up with as you were speaking. If they figure out a way to make people power vessels, so make us all windmills essentially, like the equivalent of windmills. So when you walk around,
just have a little treadmill in your house.
Like the kinetic energy of the movement of your legs creates power to a grid somehow. So you're like, that's how essentially you're earning.
I think that might actually happen.
You're earning
point.
income.
Or it'd be like some kind of cryptocurrency or something.
I think it's going to be more so. I think it'd be more so like with like the metaverse and these things like that.
Oh, this is kind of like the idea that Tim Pool talks about this maybe dystopian future. I don't know how bad it would be. It depends on the outcome. But where it's like you have these algorithms where everything is like, you're just kind of following instructions for points, and you don't necessarily know why you're doing anything, but you're just doing it for points.
Yep.
And so the algorithm might tell you to, like, take 10 steps to the north and look to your right and pick up that box and then walk it 40 steps that way and then set it on that signpost and then
30 points.
do something and then boom, 30 points. And then you're just doing these random things that don't seem to make any sense. But in the AI running the big picture, all of these tasks are it's like the most efficient way to get certain things done.
It's like the
and
blockchain.
then at the end of the day, yeah, it'd be really.
It's like the blockchain. Realistically, if you're doing these,
it'd be weird.
If you're doing these things, you're getting paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Or fractions of Bitcoin. Yeah, it's the same sort of
No,
thing,
I'll take
right?
1 Bitcoin per unit.
Yeah,
of energy.
imagine that. Imagine when it was like that.
Yeah. There's that guy that paid like 20,000 Bitcoin for a pizza originally as like a proof of concept or something. It's like, shit, I wish I had those Bitcoin now.
That's expensive pizza.
Yeah, today it is.
But it's something like that. I mean, where you could take away the labor aspect of things. Like if we get away from a laborist society, so we have...
But we still need labor. But once we have robots...
saying if we have robots.
Yeah.
So we have robots and we don't have to perform labor
in
some way, then we can... If it's something simple like like I said, the kinetic movement of our feet, or if somebody doesn't want to do that necessarily, it's like, who knows, movement of their eyes. They're looking at reading different things.
What if health was tied to...
that'd be pretty fucking cool.
To your thing, right? So like if you maintain like a certain... It's hard to measure health, right? Because like BMI is fucked and you don't know everything. But like if you can like do a certain amount of work, like the physics unit of energy work per day. Yeah. It's like, oh, you do your workout, you do this workout, and you're gonna get this amount of money or this amount of tokens because we're moving away from money. Money's gonna be fucking worthless. It's like you get this, you do your workout for the day, you get this amount of tokens, and you keep it up for a week, and you get these tokens. And then if you eat these foods and you avoid these foods, you get, or maybe you lose tokens to eat these foods, but you gain tokens to eat these foods. And it's like,
how cool would it could be dystopian or cool, depending on what way you went. How cool would it be though if you said, okay, well, we all get a UBI, and it's based on the robots doing everything for us, right?
Right. So the entire economy is automated.
Basically,
essentially. Maybe there's a few jobs.
Only the jobs that people want to do, that people are passionate about doing, that you could do them, right? But anything laborious where somebody we have to do it, and
right, like that box needs to be moved over there.
Things
no
like
one
that.
really wants to do it, but you know what? For $15 an hour, I'll do it.
Right,
kind of thing.
So all those are taken away, but we go, all right. Everything that you can do to earn extra credit or extra things for extra stuff outside of the things that we're just taking care of, all the food and all that kind of stuff is taken care of. But if you want extra things, you've got to do these extra things, like you're saying, like, all right, you do 100 push-ups. But you're hooked up to this thing where you create a little energy by doing it. Yeah. Now those 100 push-ups are worth 100 tokens.
I don't even think you need to hook it up to energy, because I think you could make an argument that it would be better for humanity. Like you individually being healthy is better for humanity.
I get it.
And so if the entire economy is automated, it could be worth it just to pay people to be healthy.
I know.
Or to penalize them for being unhealthy.
But again, I think power is always something we'll need to generate somehow.
Yeah, but at a certain point, I think it becomes so abundant? Electricity would be like dirt.
Yeah, so abundant, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say, for example, something like that. Yeah. I don't see it ever.
Like if you had nuclear fusion reactors that were completely run by robots. Yeah. Power is.
I don't ever see it getting to that point though, where you're just saying we're just basically paying each other to be better. No, there's got to be some output. You got to be doing something.
But that is the output. The output is people
to be better.
No, because now you're stuck on the labor thing. Where, I know. Like there has to be something. But so like imagine a society where there is literally no you don't have to do everything. Anything.
That's utopia.
Everything is completely automated. The electric our power is generated through say nuclear fusion, and the plants are run by robots, and anything that goes wrong, the robots can solve, and maybe there's one person per 10 million people has to work because there's certain problems that a human has to solve, but very, very, very rarely, right? And so almost nobody's doing any jobs because there aren't any jobs because they're all automated. And
wouldn't those people be like the elites then, or the rulers or somehow, because they'd be like, hey, you need me to do this
I would
thing.
say those people could be like the billionaires. Yeah.
Yeah, but then why would they
I don't
do
know
it?
if they would necessarily be rulers.
Then why would they do it?
Why would they?
Yeah.
Because they're billionaires for doing it.
Would it matter? What would money matter at that point, though? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, maybe not.
That's what I'm saying.
But
So
I
if you
think
got
it
to a
probably
point-
would still.
I
Because
think-
at a certain point, we would be limiting things. Well, see, in that society, you could have it where it's almost like the communist utopia where you're like, you want something, you just go and get it. Maybe.
No, I would think that
But I don't
anything
know
that's
that
outside of like necessity that would be something that you'd have to essentially work for. But the difference between work would be the thing. Like you wouldn't have to actually do anything
And so
laborious.
that's what I'm arguing. That's what I'm
Yeah.
arguing here is like, instead of getting a physical output where like you've done work in terms of the unit of energy, like the physics term of work, instead of doing that, you are you get your points for being healthy, not like just because that is overall better for society. Because if when you are healthy and when you are having these physical struggles with yourself, like your mental health improves and your physical health improves, so your strain on the system is less in terms of like the healthcare that you need, and you're less you're less of a negative impact on other people because now you're just in a better mood more of the time, and you're less grumpy and you're not like depressed all the time or whatever, and so that would become like the currency where it's like, okay, it's worth it for us to reward you for that because it's less strain on the overall system than anything else.
I don't think so. The only reason why I don't think so, I don't give humans enough credit for that. I think to get even to what we're saying of like where
Pretty
robots,
serious technological advancements.
yeah, where
to get
robots
there.
are running things is already like that's cool. I mean, that's an
up
advancement
there.
that I could see us doing anyway, right? Because it's
We're going in
inherently-
that direction.
We're inherently lazy as creatures, right? We want to always find the easiest way to
It's all
do
about
things,
automation.
the fastest way to get somewhere, all that kind of stuff. We're lazy and impatient. So if I just feel like that wouldn't change. So if we wanted to get extra, we'd have to do something extra. And not just something where like we're somebody because I think
it would move.
I think
'Cause
everybody would say
I think
you
what's-
should be that way. I think we'd be more, we'd get more to the point where we'd be intolerant of people that were strains on the system, as opposed to rewarding people that weren't.
But maybe not.
You know what I mean? Like we'd be less likely to be rewarding people that are 600 fucking pounds and a big strain on the system, as opposed to somebody like you and I who try to stay in.
I don't know that
good
that's
shape.
necessarily true. Like, what if, like, so we're talking about a utopian society where maybe like it's almost nothing.
What do you mean?
Well, like it's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. You're 600 pounds and you need this medical treatment. Like, okay, yeah, you come in on Tuesday and you get it. It's like it's not even a hassle. Kind of like how getting a bag of Doritos.
How did they get to the 600 pounds though?
Well, by eating. But the food
Eating
is so
what?
abundant
But
that
I'm saying, but the food, if we did a thing where we just essentially rationed it off, where you just said, look, listen, we're only going to provide everything you need.
But why would you ration it in a society where it's like so abundant?
Because you'd want people to be healthy and the best.
Right, so then why not reward them for doing that rather
Because
than
rewards aren't by being
rather
fat. Like just because, so I had some ice cream today. I would say that you could reward people with things like that if they were already within a certain range. But if somebody's 600 pounds,
Okay, but now you're just talking about like an extreme form of like dictatorship where
Well,
you're
no, but not
you're
necessarily.
very strictly designing people's lives for them.
No, but not necessarily.
Yes, you
what
are.
I'm saying, no, listen.
Because
what
I
I'm-
would say like, okay,
hold
here
on, but
we
let me
have
make the
this
point. Let me
society.
make the point, though. I'm saying that the UBI provides for the things that we need, not the things we want. So the things we want, if we want to eat in excess and all these different things, we have to buy them with the whatever we have to work for, whatever we have to use to get that after the fact. So we're not controlling any of that. So you go ahead and do whatever you want, but we're not rewarding it by giving a UBI that covers any of that. So in other words, let's say the UBI says, okay, you have a certain amount of social credits or credits of some whatever sort for food, but it's not for fucking 20 bags of Doritos a month either. That's just for X, Y, Z.
Yeah, and that's
if you want the
but
20
that
bags
is
of
a
Doritos.
strict. That is a
No, but that's
strict.
the UBI portion of it, which I think almost everybody would say, okay, if the government is going to, like, so for example, welfare. We've designed welfare in a way that we don't want people going and buying drugs with welfare. We just don't govern it.
No. Yeah.
Right? But if we got it to the point where we're like everything is sort of controlled in a way where we have robots and all these kinds of things to control automation, all these different things, then we could control right down to like how UBI is given out and say, we're not giving out for those things. We're not stopping you from doing it. But if you want that shit, you got to go and do your own thing for it. And your own thing might be, for example, I'm just spitballing, you got to do 10 fucking push-ups for 10 credits. And for 10 credits, you can buy a bag of Doritos or whatever, right? Whatever the way it's based is, I'm just saying that we don't end up paying as a society for all those things. We don't stop it either. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm saying
that's not controlling.
No, it
people.
Absolutely is.
No, it isn't.
Because I'm saying, okay, we have this society, this perfect society. Yeah, I guess we're describing a perfect society. Like, there's all this abundance, there's all this stuff, and now you're saying, well, we have this essentially unlimited cornucopia of stuff, but we're not gonna allow you to take from it. No, but it's almost like there's a river of fresh water going down the stream, and you're saying like, no, you only get 1 cup of water a day. It's like, well, why? I could just go and I could just fill up this entire keg of water.
I'm only giving you 1 cup a day. The rest of it, you have to earn it. You have to buy it. You have to do whatever for it. I'm only going to give you 1 cup a day.
Yeah, so
it's just like welfare essentially, right? UBI is just welfare. It's just another form of fucking welfare essentially.
But that's the thing. Who are you to control somebody like that if you're not a dictator?
Well, we're governing.
Because again, there's all this stuff.
But we're governing that system of the UBI. We're not governing anything else, is what I'm saying. The rest of it, you're free to do whatever the fuck you want. But in that UBI process of what it is, it's like anything. The
UBI process would have to be like you get
listen. If
this
you
amount
want,
of tokens.
if you want a child tax benefit, you gotta have a fucking kid. That's so. If I don't have a kid, I want a child tax benefit, and I say, hey, can I get a child tax benefit? You say, no, you can't. You don't have a kid. I'm like, well, you're fucking controlling me. No, you didn't meet the criteria. It's just simple as that. Here's what you do meet the criteria for. Here's so for example, UBI, the equivalent of UBI right now that we have, essentially, that's universal, is the taxable benefit that everyone has of about around $14,000. So you can make $14,000 a year, no tax. Make it all day if you want. You make $14,000 tax, there's no taxes on it. After $14,000, you're paying tax at a certain marginal tax rate or whatever, right? But the UBI would be the same sort of way. You'd say, hey, here it is. Here's the UBI. Do whatever the fuck. Like, you can only do what we tell you to do with that. But after that, do whatever the fuck you want. Earn whatever the hell you want. But here are various ways you can earn within society, a sort of thing. Inside of society. I mean, outside of that, I'm sure there'd still be like black market type stuff. If I went to you and said, hey, I'll jiggle your knob for 10 minutes, you'd be like, all right, I'll give you 100 credits that I got from doing 100 fucking sit-ups. Or whatever, right? You know, I'm spitballing on the ideas,
right.
But that's what I'm saying. So where's the sort of where are you stretching to the idea that it's a dictatorship?
You're controlling people's lives.
Why aren't you listening to me? I'm not controlling anything outside of the one thing.
You're doing it by proxy. You're saying no. I'm not. Listen. Okay, so. There's like all this shit over here. Like the river analogy is a good river. There's a river over here of fresh water just flowing.
Right.
And you're saying, okay, I'm going to build a wall around this river, and there's going to be a gate of this river, and I'm going to give you a certain amount of tokens every day, and it's going to cost you 10 tokens to go into that river. No. Why can't I just go to that river, because that river is unlimited, and take what I want from it?
But it's not unlimited. There's no unlimited anything.
No, there is in this society that we're describing.
No, there isn't, because everything's finite.
Is.
So what's unlimited? Tell me what's unlimited.
Anything.
Everything. Tell me one thing.
Doritos.
How's it unlimited? It still has to be fucking. It still has to be processed. Even if it's a machine doing it, the machine still has power.
There's
the
more.
Machine still has to be fixed.
It's unlimited. It says that there's more Doritos than anyone could consume.
How do you know that?
Because we're describing a perfect society. That's how I know that.
No, but why
because
would
it's in the fictional world that we're describing. That there's no scarcity whatsoever.
I'm not saying that.
Everything is
I
taken
never
care
said
of.
that. I never said
That's
that.
the
I'm
world
saying
that we're describing here.
Basic is taken care of. When did I ever say that everything is fucking limitless?
It's a completely automated society.
Not limitless. But doesn't mean
a completely automated
limitless.
society would make everything limitless.
Oh, really? So if you want to build a fucking car So you're telling me I want to build a car. I want to build 10 cars. I have
Yep.
the product, the materials to build 10 cars. In your society, I suddenly could just say I want to build 10 trillion cars tomorrow. It still has to be mined. All the shit has to be mined.
And
There's
the whole
time, all
process
that
will be
shit.
automated.
So what are you talking
So you
about?
just
You're
have a
telling
car
me-
popping out
You're
every
telling
day.
me what's
You just have a car popping out every day.
that is what you're saying is completely fucking stupid because there's still time that it takes to mine the materials, to build it, whether it's a machine doing it, a person doing it, whatever. Still time for all that shit to happen. There's still a finite amount of the resources to make that happen. So where does that change in this society? All that changed is now instead of you and me having to do it and using our sweat and our energy to do it, a machine is doing it that we have created that maybe can do it maybe twice as fast. Let's say, okay, let's just use a number. It can do it twice as fast. So we could maybe potentially build twice as many vehicles. Okay, there's still a finite number to that. So for example, Tesla, let's say Tesla can pop out 1,000
We
vehicles
have
a
enough
day.
vehicles now.
Let's say Tesla can pop out 1,000 vehicles a day right now. And in fact, actually, no, we don't. Because right now, rental companies,
we have
can't buy
supply
vehicles
chain
right now because there
issues
aren't enough.
through the fucking roof.
Right. So anyway, so that just destroyed what you said there. So
No,
what I'm
not
saying,
at all.
though,
Not at all.
let's say-
In 2010, there was enough vehicles. You could go to a dealership.
2022, there isn't.
In 2000, yeah,
So in
because
2022,
we have shitty governments
Yeah.
going in the wrong direction.
Anyways,
we
so-
have the system set up where you have
So what you're saying is
you could
dumb.
go to a dealership and you could get a new car. We had that system.
we
We
go.
moved in a different direction. Now we're talking about a system where we're producing twice as many vehicles. You could go and you could get whatever you wanted, and now you don't have the labor behind it, which is where the cost comes from in the first
You have
place.
zero idea how economics work. You seriously do. You like in your mind, you throw this shit out, and you're like, "Oh, we have anything we want, as much as we want." You understand? things
Yeah,
are
that's
finite
exactly
on this
what I
planet.
said.
You just
Yeah.
said that. You
That's
just said that
exactly
we
what I
have as
said.
many Doritos as we want. There's
Yeah,
essentially it's an
because we
infinite
have
amount of
robots
Doritos.
producing them
So
continuously.
they still have to produce them.
Right, and they could do it at in orders of magnitude more than people can. So the costs are dramatically lower.
Even if it's twice as much, even if we get to twice as much, so we can produce twice as many Doritos as we do now. But all 7.5 billion people on the planet started eating Doritos every day. We would run out of Doritos. We wouldn't even have enough Doritos to feed those people.
No, not if you scaled the production to be equal to, say, what it is in
Where's
Canada.
the materials coming from?
Same
You don't
pro-
understand. The planet is
production.
finite. There's a finite amount of materials to be able to build all of the things. So if everybody wanted a Tesla tomorrow, even if we had the capacity to build all those Teslas, we said, fuck, we'll make all the machines to do it, and we're going to build 7.5 billion Teslas tomorrow. We wouldn't be able to do it. We don't have enough fucking materials. There's not enough lithium on the planet to power the batteries. There's not enough materials on the planet to do that. The way we're able to do things is because not everybody wants or in excess of things. We're able to fucking even meat is a good example. If everybody on the planet ate meat, we wouldn't have enough. Why do I keep coming your fucking camera? We wouldn't have enough. We would just run out very, very quickly. The fact that we have people not eating meat and other people eating it and things like this happening is the fact that there's a reason why we have a certain amount of supply and we're not out of that supply. Nothing would change if we had machines on the planet. The only thing that might change is it would change if we went to other planets to get more resources from those other planets. Then yeah, and the amount of people didn't change, and now the amount of planets and resources changed. Sure, then what you said would work. We could set up different manufacturing facilities on different planets and shit, and just up the amount of resources that we were able to make. And yep, everybody could have a Tesla. Everybody on the planet could have a Tesla fairly quickly. But on this planet, there's a certain amount of finite resources that we wouldn't. And my point was on the UBI would be to take care of our basic needs, universal basic income, to take care of our basic needs, just the same as, like I said, and it's no more authoritarian than our tax system. Then the government saying, no, you make income, we're taking taxes. It's no more authoritarian than that. It's the exact same thing. It's, as a society, it's best for all of us if we limit the amount of resources that each of us take. in this system, and then if you work hard to be able to take more, like we do now, like somebody having $1 billion, they work harder or they produce something that is everybody wants, then they have more. That's just a merit. That's a meritocracy system. If you make an iPhone and I want it, I'm going to happily pay for it. If you don't, you're not going to make the same money as the person making the iPhone. That's how shit should work, and that's all I'm saying. There would be no change. The only change would be that we would actually control a little better what we're giving to people instead of just saying, here's $2,000 a month, go nuts, have at her. So does that clear up my point better? So you don't say that I'm fucking saying some kind of
no, you just fucking made you completely regressed from where we started.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Please explain how I regressed.
We were talking about a utopian society and, describing sort of, I don't know, some sort of credit system because now money isn't a factor because everyone's doing it. And then you've regressed to a society that's barely made any improvements from our current one.
How so?
Well, you just start listing all the problems that we have today. It's like, oh, here's all of our problems today, and here's why we can't do this right now, and here's why we can't do this. It's like, okay, yeah, all of these problems exist. But in a fictional, perfect society... I
didn't say it was fictional.
No, I did fictional. From the very beginning.
You added fictional. I never once said it fictional.
From the very beginning, and then you regress it because you want to argue.
No, I didn't. I never said fictional. It's only fictional because it doesn't exist right now. You do this every time. You'll start arguing a point that I have, and when I make the point strong, you'll try and revert back and say, that's pretty much what I was saying, or that's
you make your point strong by pulling in factors. I will describe a utopian vision, and you will pull from we can't do that today because we haven't solved these problems because we have all of these problems. Okay, well, and then you're like, so my point is right because we have a limited amount of farms today.
If you're talking about pie in the sky,
but what if we fucking built a fucking ring around the planet that fucking had the same amount of land mass that we're growing fucking crops on?
You're doing what I do.
Oh, yeah, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Fucking waving our arms around. You've built a fucking ring around the planet that has all the fucking the same amount of land mass that fucking spins around, so it has gravity, and then you're growing you literally every square foot.
You said build a ring around the planet. What do you mean?
You know, like Elysium, you have like a ring.
Oh, you're talking.
I'm talking around the whole planet because I'm.
So you're talking about like a Dyson sphere almost, like something.
No, a Dyson sphere is around a star to generate power.
Well, okay, but
I'm just imagining a ring. Just fucking think of a ring around the planet like Saturn's ring, but it's facing. I don't know. It's facing out, so it's facing the sun, and the square footage of land in this ring is equal to the square footage of land on the Earth. Lovely. Gross. And now we're growing crops there. Okay, so now we literally for like the exact same amount of space that we have on the Earth, we're growing food in orbit. Mm-hmm. Now food is just fucking might as well be infinite because we've solved it.
I know, but if you're gonna do that, why would you grow shit food? Why would you grow healthy food?
I mean, you would want that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but
you're gonna run into this same thing that we have now. When we have abundance, what do? You cater to what people want, and so that is a very real problem that we're gonna run into as we sort of go down this post-scarcity route. As we have,
I don't think so at all.
Going the complete opposite.
You know why I don't think so at all?
Why? You think people are going to stop wanting to eat Doritos and
what changes
chocolate bars?
No, I don't think that at all. I think people will like the taste of that shit. But what would stop if we've gotten to that point? What would stop the ability to make a fucking Brussels sprout taste like a Dorito?
I mean that could be another way to solve that problem altogether.
Then you just fucking. I mean, they're already doing that essentially, like with foods and shit. You get these fucking these crisps and shit. They're like vegetable crisps, and they taste like a chip. But they're made of pure like vegetable and shit.
That would solve a lot of problems if you actually had like I don't know like a nutrient paste that tasted like whatever you wanted it to taste like.
This is my point, right? When I'm talking about this, and this again, we're going on tangents on specifics of it. What I'm saying is this UBI essentially, and I'm surprised that we argued about this because I thought you'd be into this because you love the idea of the UBI.
We're arguing it because you're moving the goalposts.
I'm not moving the goalpost at all.
Claim that you're right for
I'm not
no
moving
reason.
the goalpost. I never once moved the goalpost. What did I say?
Whole tangent.
Oh yeah, please explain where I moved the goalpost.
We're talking about this idealistic society, and it all started when I'm like, oh well, why don't we maybe reward people for like being healthy and doing like pay people for doing exercise or whatever, or something that you're like, no, that couldn't work. But then like here's this other system.
But all I said about it is I said that there would have to be an output, because humans don't give a shit about each other enough to say, all right, you're healthy, so I'm going to pay you for being healthy.
That's what I said. I'm like, well,
you're doing those push-ups, how to
so that
provide energy.
Yeah, so there we go. That's where we were,
Yeah.
and this is how we got onto the fictional society where everything solves. Because I'm like, well, if we've solved all of the problems in terms of like supply chain and materials
but a new
or
problem
whatever,
would be energy.
No, because that's one of the things.
But
well, no,
finite.
energy isn't finite. Not in the universe. The entire universe is made of energy.
But it's finite. They figure it's finite. It started at a point. It's finite.
If the universe,
it's the equivalent of infinite to us, because we'll never hit the end of it. But like the sun.
No, it's
like
just
the sun is going to burn out. But it's fucking.
We don't understand the universe to say whether or not it's finite or infinite.
But the sun might as well be infinite to us.
Yeah, exactly.
In our lifetime, it's never going to run out. It's in abundance.
We can't get enough energy to where like you could have a matter fabricator in every home that just produces theoretically everything that you want.
The matter fabricator still needs energy, though.
I'm saying that we can get enough energy to where it doesn't matter, where you could have a matter fabricator in every home that you can get. But again, this is what you do, right? This is what I'm describing. I'm describing this utopian world that does not exist, and it may never exist, and it may be impossible to get there. And you're saying, well, no, here are these problems of today that we don't have.
I wasn't describing.
Okay, but again,
universe
I was making the point of a society, and then you changed the point to no. Here's a different way of looking at it, and here's why I'm right and you're wrong. But it's not
exactly. That's
not because that was my point originally when I'm talking about rewarding people for being healthy. Because now, if all of these issues are solved, maybe what you want to do is reward people for being healthy, because then there's going to be a less strain on society in terms of their
what you're saying is based in zero. You're just basically pure fiction at this point.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
And not at this point, at the beginning.
Everything we ever talk about is just because it's fiction right now doesn't mean it's not based in some type of reality or like a futuristic
reality. Right, the type of reality is where all of our problems that involve manual labor are solved.
And what I was saying,
that's the fictional.
I was debating you is the
idea. By opening it up to, well, we have all of these problems that haven't been solved, so therefore we can't do that.
No, it's not.
And then you went on this whole tangent.
It's not at all what I just said, that we are limited to resources on the planet.
Except we aren't.
How aren't we?
Well, we can already leave the planet.
But we can't bring shit en masse to the planet.
Not en masse. But if we were able to mass produce rockets,
if you I even said this in the middle of my tangent. I said if we got to the point where we were able to mine other planets and we set up like manufacturing facilities on other planets, we'd still have a finite amount of resources. But if you now take, let's say, we have the equivalent of 1 to 5 resources on this planet for each human, and you have now 5 planets. You have 1 to 1. You're down to 1 to 1 now, unless you now increase the population by 5 times. Now you're at the same fucking problem. You have 5 planets, but you still have the amount of people for those 5 planets. But I'm saying if the population didn't change, we still have 7.5 billion people on the planet, but we have now 5 planets producing shit. Yeah, our scarcity and our resources that we now have to build these things is adequate to the amount of people on the planet for like basically everybody to have a Tesla, for example, right? That was my point of view. So if you're trying to say that, yeah, we're taking away the limitation of this planet, then then
yes,
then
I'm
changes,
literally describing a scenario that doesn't exist.
You never once said that until I brought this up.
No, I did originally.
No, you didn't.
I did originally when I made my point.
What did you say?
When I made my point about rewarding people, I'm saying we've solved all these problems, all the problems that lead to manual labor.
You never once said off planet.
Why would I have to specify that if I'm saying all the problems? All the problems are solved.
Well, you got to be specific. I was specific in everything I said, and you tried to destroy everything I said.
literally trying to be right,
No,
even
I'm
though
not.
you're
I'm-
arguing a
no,
different
because,
point altogether.
No, because I'm not. When I fucking come up with an idea, I think about other facets. I'm not pie in the sky where I'm like, oh, if people now had 7 arms, we could do this. Well, we don't have 7 arms. We have 2 fucking arms. If you're talking about what we're talking
we'll try
about
to
here-
entertain a hypothetical for 2 seconds.
Well, if you
then.
said the hypothetical, but you never said that
Yes,
hypothetical.
I did.
You're inferring that I should have guessed that you were talking about the
I
universe
literally said we have solved all of our problems. So what
on
do we
the
do?
planet. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Human beings do not have to do any kind of labor. That was the scenario that was put forth, and I'm like, okay. Well, the idea that I was putting forward is like, okay, well, maybe if we don't have to do any labor anymore whatsoever for anything, what if we rewarded people for being healthy? And you're like, yeah, but people do have to do stuff for things. They're just like,
No, all I said when you said that was I don't see people rewarding people for being healthy because we didn't give a fuck. You'd have to have some output. It would have to be if you want to do that. Because why would I give a fuck if Tyler's healthy? Like, the only way that would ever work in any way, I think, anyway, according to my opinion, because again, this is just my opinion, if we found aliens. If there were other aliens out there and we knew they were out there, we'd be like, yeah, I give a shit about Tyler now because Tyler's a fucking human. I'm a human. Fuck them all. Fuck the rest of them. I care about Tyler because he's a human. And because that's the way we are. We don't give a fuck about...
The idea is not about that individually you would give a fuck about how other people are. It's more of like, if in a society where you don't have any kind of... No one has to do any labor or anything for anything. It's just kind of all there. It's all solved. All the problems are solved. All the problems in the universe are solved.
Right.
What do we do? Like, human beings need some kind of reward system.
Okay,
but
so here... Okay,
what if you... It's just a fucking idea.
I know.
What if you rewarded people for being healthy because when you are healthy, you're not depressed, you're not as irritable, you're not whatever, you're not as disagreeable. Like all of these fucking things that are just a net negative on society, on the other people around you. So it's like, okay, from like a government, not an individual perspective, from like a ruling perspective, we're like, okay, we're gonna reward people for being healthy because if we maximize the amount of healthy people going around, we're just going to have less problems. And the problems are no longer there's no food or there's no energy. The problems are fucking John and Mark are fighting again in the street. It's like, oh, well, we want to stop. How do we stop that? Well, if they were healthy, maybe they wouldn't have these issues. If fucking John wasn't an alcoholic and Mark wasn't on heroin, maybe these issues.
So how do you make him not an alcoholic and how do you make him not a heroin?
By rewarding good behaviors. You can't make. So you're gonna have those.
We have that now. If you're not an alcoholic, if you're not a heroin addict, your life is, even most drug addicts, when you talk to them, they would happily be not that. So how do you control that?
Yeah. Well,
how would you control it there? You take it away. Because you can't control it. Because people will do it anyway. If it's there, they'll do it. If they have access to it, they'll do it. There's just a certain amount of people that'll do it.
Yeah,
you
some
can't.
people will.
Right. So
but less people.
So the only way to get rid of it altogether would be to get rid of it.
You're never going to get rid of it altogether.
Oh, yeah, you
I
could.
don't think.
Yeah, you could.
You can just minimize it.
Well,
okay, you could if you took the authoritarian perspective.
You get rid of the raw materials that they use to.
And I'm
a
libertarian, and I think that if you want to shoot up on heroin, you should be allowed to.
So am I, and so do I think.
So that's why I would say, okay, well, maybe if you fucking lived this way instead, you get a little extra for it. And maybe you get a little less if you're shooting up on heroin or something.
You already do in our society.
In our society, you do, but in our society, there's scarcity. So you're going to have to, you still have to go to work and shit. And these things aren't solved for. And they're just other things that seem to drive people towards these fucking...
Anybody who's hardworking enough to stay in shape, work out, eat healthy and all that, do you know of many people that are unsuccessful in some way or live a scarce life that live that way? They're a disciplined person. Right, exactly. You won't. I don't know of anybody. I literally have never met somebody who's in shape, who is disciplined, who does these things, that has is struggling.
A structured life.
Yeah, that is heavily struggling. Because they're disciplined in other ways too.
Right, discipline seeps in.
Right.
There's a fucking good... I'll read you this.
So it doesn't matter whether you do that or not in a society where you're like, hey, we're going to reward this kind of shit. The only way you control anybody en masse is to find ways to control. People pay taxes.
But I'm not about control. I'm just about influence.
I get it, but there's a certain amount of control that we should do. Like the fact that
Yeah, sure. I should control you to not kill somebody,
Right,
but I
exactly.
don't think I should control you to not go and shit up heroin or go
and I agree with that.
eat 100 bag of Doritos
I
just
agree with
because
that
you
too. I
feel
agree with
like
that
it.
too. But at the same time, you can incent someone on the opposite end to not do it through whatever way, right? Like, I agree with the incentive end. I also agree with the ability to be able to do it. Make it harder for them to do it.
I don't even think we should make it harder.
Why not?
I think just do what we can to make your life better beyond how it's already going to get better.
It doesn't
by doing these
It
things.
doesn't work because people are fucking inherently
It will work
flawed.
for some. I'm not saying that it'll work for everybody. I'm not saying it should work for everybody. I'm not saying the ideal is to get everybody to not do that.
But what changes from now to then? I mean, already it's a low.
I mean
percentage.
everything because we're
But it's-
talking about a post-scarcity
But I'm saying, but it's already a low
utopia.
percentage of the population, like a ridiculously low percentage of the population of people that are drug addicts or even alcoholics. Like, there are functioning alcoholics. That's I wouldn't even put them into it because like you wouldn't even know. But I'm saying people that
and there's
are,
an argument that like they should be allowed to do that because they're still. I mean, they're fucking living in society, so they're just doing their life. Kind of.
What I'm saying though, but it's already a ridiculously low percentage of people that are those outliers that are drug addicts and stuff like that. So I don't see that changing much anyway, even in a post-scarcity society. In fact, maybe it even change worse because people would have less drive to work because they'd be like, oh, I don't have to now. I can just fucking sit around and play video games all day or go in the metaverse and, you know, I can take fucking DHT and have some trips and shit like that. You might even be a guy that'd be like, hey, fucking, I don't have to go to work. I'm gonna have a couple balls out trips every day and go to a different dimension.
Tripping's hard.
Anyways, but you get what I'm saying. My whole idea is based on the idea that humans are flawed and that if you control certain things, then you will push the good behavior by, like for example, the taxes. Like we do that because
we're
a lot of people wouldn't do that
from a different perspective. You're taking.
I'm taking it from a more realistic perspective.
You're taking more from a hardcore perspective
But a
of like
realistic-
we're taking control. They're both realistic.
Well, it's
you just have a
realistic
different
based
goal.
on-
You're saying we need to eradicate this stuff, and we're
But
going
I'm
to
saying
take
it's
drastic
realistic
measures to do
based
it. And I'm saying-
on humanity, the flaws of humanity. I don't see that ever changing. We're
Right.
a feudal fucking creature.
And
We
all
like
I'm
to
saying is
fight
just
with it.
maximize as best we can without going full authoritarian to maximize as best we can the good behaviors and try and, you know, like you're not going to stop certain people from living that way, sure.
But I don't think it's authoritarian. I don't think it's authoritarian. It's the same thing as like what you were talking about, like at a workplace. If you want to opt out of the union or opt into it, the union could be looked at as authoritarian as well.
It is.
Right.
I think it is.
So why not have the choice? So if there's a UBI and you say, hey,
that is what I was
here's
saying.
Here's the UBI. This is the authoritarian approach. If you want this thing, you have to do X, Y, Z. If you don't want it, have at it, scatter. Do what you want. Do your thing. But if you want this thing, you got to fall in line with this thing. Just like if you want a part of the union, you got to follow the rules of the union. If you don't want to work in the union, cool. There's another place for you. That doesn't make them authoritarian. That just makes them following the rules of that thing. It's just like the military or any of that kind of thing. There are rules, and if you don't follow them, you're out.
Right, but we're talking about the one thing that is the whole of society. And we're talking about society has produced all of this abundance, and now we're going to force people not to
It's not.
to
No,
indulge in
we're
it
we're
if they
gonna
want to?
No, we're gonna
I think
say
they should be able to.
Why do you keep saying that? I'm saying do whatever you want. On the other side
But
of
you're
it,
saying
but if you
you're
want-
no, but you're saying okay, you're in control. You're the government. You're in control. You're saying we have all of this stuff, and it's just there's postcards. So there's abundancy, right? So that's the scenario. There's just whatever your heart's desire, it's there, right? Maybe we have matter fabricators or whatever, but it all still costs tokens, and we're only going to give you this amount of tokens, and you can earn tokens by doing this over here, or you're going to spend tokens
do whatever
for
you
doing
want.
this over here.
It's almost like having a 2-tier system. It's like, here's the system to cover you in case. This is the welfare system, essentially. If you don't want to do any of that stuff, if you just want to sit around and play video games all day and not do anything, you're covered. Here's the UBI that covers you. You're good. Go ahead. Have at or scatter. Kill yourself. Playing video games all day. Whatever you want. You want chips and shit like that and extra stuff that, like, of course, I would say that there would be rations for that kind of stuff. Like, within reason, just to trying for the betterment of people. And now, if you want more things, maybe in your little video game, you fucking blow people in the video game and people give you credits. Buy all the fucking chips you want. I don't care whatever that system is. I'm just saying the control of the system would be the base of the control of it. The rest of it is outside. Do whatever the fuck you want. If you want to be a heroin addict and you can make heroin, go make heroin. If you make heroin and I want to suck your dick to get heroin, there we go. We just transactionally traded. The government doesn't step in and say anything to that. Do whatever the fuck you want. But in the society of the societal constraints of that system, you're following this rule to get that thing. That's all I'm saying. It's no different than taxes. It's no different than anything like that. We have to mandate those things so people will do it. Because most people won't go, hey, all right, listen, oh yeah, we need roads. So you know what? Yeah, you're right. I need to give you $12 this month to pay for roads. No, it's got to be taken from you. Or else you'll drive on the road and go, fuck you, I'm driving on the road. What do you mean? I'm just going to drive on the road. No, we all have to pay for this thing. You'd have people that would step in and go, no, you know what? That's my responsibility. I'm going to pay for that road. You know, there are other people that say, no, I'm not going to pay for that road. Right? And so we can't change human behavior. But what we can do is say, hey, here's the system. If you're gonna be part of the system, then you have to follow these rules. Otherwise, bye, outside. It'd almost be like second-class society. Anyways, I don't want to get into this too much more. You were saying you were going to say something before we end this podcast. I want you to say whatever you were going to say. Because I feel like I've made my point twice. I don't know. You said you were gonna talk about something.
Oh, you brought up discipline.
Yeah.
There's a guy on Akira the Don. He makes music. He takes speeches from Jordan
what?
Peterson.
You say Akira the Don?
Akira the Don.
Oh, Akira. You've said this guy before.
Yeah, he makes music based from. He'll take a Jordan Peterson lecture or portion of it and turn it into a song. And he posted this 2 days ago, and I thought it was, I don't know, it really spoke to my experience. And it's like, it's kind of like this long post. It's like, discipline seeps in. I used to think I didn't have time to work out. This time last year, I was making an album a month, live streaming twice a day. Akira, maybe you should work out. I don't have time. Look at all I'm doing. Funny thing is, now I work out every day. I get more done. I'm way more productive now than I have ever been. There are a few reasons for this. One, I know I'm going to be at CrossFit at 7 p.m. That's non-negotiable, so I have to make my time before then count. If I stay up late, I know it's going to be harder for me to get up early, so I won't have as much day before I get to CrossFit. The time I need to get what I need to get done, so I get up earlier, and I am even more eagle-eyed than previously when it comes to spotting areas where I'm wasting time or could be more efficient. The other thing is energy. Working out every day gives me all this extra energy. In fact, the energy I get from an hour-long workout session gives me hours more energy than I'd have had otherwise. The ROI on that energy investment is crazy. I invest an hour into working out, and I get hours and hours of extra nuke force turbocharged God source pure energy to put into whatever I want. The cool thing about discipline is discipline seeps in. The discipline of showing up to work out every day reverberates throughout the rest of my life, and since that discipline turns into habit, I find myself with a gang of brilliant habits in all areas of existence, carrying me like a surfer on a giant wave.
That's excuse me. That's good, and obviously you
that's
and
wise.
I.
That's fucking.
Obviously, you and I would agree with that, right? We listen.
Yeah, we've experienced it.
Of course, we have.
Yeah.
Right, but we unfortunately. The sad thing about it is we're outliers, right? We're not a part of the 80%. 80% of people fall in various different ranges. And I'm going to put people down when I say this, but various different ranges of regular sort of laziness, right? We're regular non-discipline. And that's cool. And
not
I've
just non-discipline, avoiding discipline.
Yeah, sure.
Instead of seeking, when you're disciplined, if you're working out every day, in a sense, you're seeking discomfort and struggle. These people avoid it. I had a conversation with somebody, old friend of mine who I'm not friends with anymore. I do not like the person that he became. And so we were friends kind of after high school for a couple of years, and then kind of got disconnected, and then COVID happened and everything. And then this past September, I saw him again for the first time in years. And yeah, this is where I noticed he fucking changed for the worse. But he said something to me. So this is a guy who was always overweight, and he was always talking about losing weight. And there's a period of time where I was really proud of him because he was actually doing it. and he was losing weight and he was getting in shape. He was like running a lot, and compared to, you know, he never really got like, he didn't get like super lean or anything, but you know, he probably went from 50 pounds overweight to 30 pounds overweight over the course of a few months at one point in time. So it's like, okay, fucking great. This guy's, you know, he's figuring out, he's getting on a thing. When I saw him in this, he had put on a lot of weight. He looked terrible. And he was talking about how, so he's gay and he has a boyfriend. So I'm going to mention that. He was talking about how like, he was still kind of working out from time, going on runs mainly is what he was doing, but he's still doing some exercise. But he was saying this like that, like his boyfriend was so supportive, and like sometimes he'd say like he really didn't, you know, feel like working out, and he'd tell him like, oh, like, look, if you know, if you're not feeling it, like, then you're not feeling it, then you don't do it. You know, you got to listen to your body and everything. He's like, yeah, you're right. And I listen, I'm like, fuck, man.
People always say that.
People have that attitude where it's like, yeah, listen, but it's like, no, that's the monkey.
Yeah.
The monkey's telling you to seek comfort. Mm-hmm. You have to transcend the monkey to seek discomfort to get out on the other side. And like, this guy had completely lost it. And I was like, holy shit. Like,
I couldn't agree more to that. Like I've said it to people all the time.
It was sad to hear him say that.
When I've been sick, I've done it before. Like in the past, so many times where I'm sick, and then I'm like, my first instinct is to go ahead and just lie down, go to sleep or whatever, and I'll be like, no, fuck it, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do this, whatever, and that, and I eventually end up feeling better. Like in the day, through the course of the day, I feel better, and I'm like, holy shit, and I think to myself, I'm like, I probably could have lost 2 or 3 days, just succumbing to, and I'm not saying that. Again, I'm not saying that this is, you know, the norm, or like that everybody can do this kind of thing, or it's going to work every time.
Yeah.
But it's this whole listen to your body. Like, oh, listen to your body. Yeah. Sometimes you got to say, shut the fuck up. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do this, and listen to the mind. Listen to your mind say, no, we can do this. We can fucking do this. Tell your mind, yeah, no, we can do this. Don't be a pussy.
Show
we can
it.
Do this. Yeah. I've done it with headaches and stuff where I feel a headache coming on, and I'm like, nah, not today. Not going to happen. And I literally will tell myself, no, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm going to carry on and do whatever. And I've been able to blow through it. I'm not saying that it'll happen every time, but there is a mind over matter. There is all this kind of stuff. So, and if you build that discipline, well, if this guy's starting from a bad spot, like he's not in good shape. If you're in pretty good health.
It's hard when you're out of shape.
Right. If you're in pretty good health, it's a fuck ton easier to be like, you know, nah, I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm a little sore today, or maybe I feel a little tired. You know what? That's for me. It's like the time I feel the most down or something, I'm feeling sad or something, I'll fucking work out like a motherfucker. And then I feel better after. I'm like, I accomplished something. And, you know, I didn't listen to the monkey brain. I went, fuck it. Yeah. I'm going to do it. I like that about me. A lot of people don't have that. And then you have subsectors of those.
I think it's because you have to develop it.
Well, you do, sure. Partially, I think the reason why I have it is because, like, as a kid, I had to be self-sufficient a lot of the time. So
that might have been how you developed it. For me, it was, I think I just had some good influences in my life that kind of distilled some of these ideas into me.
Well, we both have very, we're both argumentative, strong type people. So like if you take that argumentative, strong personality and you put it into something too, you're gonna do well. Like anybody watching podcasts, they'll see us sometimes just blow up at each other, but then gone. Just like that.
Yeah, because it's not fucking
we don't
serious,
give a fuck about it.
Listen,
like
we're talking about fucking out there fucking shit.
Right.
Like,
we can get heated in the moment, but it doesn't carry at all.
One day we'll do a live boxing match in the yard.
Yeah, I'll probably lose.
It'll be fun.
I'll probably lose.
I got the 20-year advantage.
Yeah. And I still haven't.
You got more training, but
this thing hasn't healed, eh?
Oh yeah. I really fucked you up.
No, it wasn't even you, asshole. But what I was saying, the subsector. So of the 20% of the people that are able to be disciplined like that, I think 20% of those people are on the crazy spectrum of they are excessive and they do too much and they're not happy. Because they're the type of people
they overextend.
Yeah. Well, and you're a little bit in that phase right now where you're like, you know, and you can live in that realm for a little while.
But
it's not that you're not unhappy yet, but if you did this for a long period of time, you would be, because you've got to sacrifice things to be at a level for a period of time. So that's why it's seasons. You do it for a time period and you reward yourself for it. Like if you live an absolute disciplined life, discipline, those kind of people are unhappy. because they're not giving themselves enough leeway to do things that make them happy outside of the discipline, because they live for that rigid sort of, but it's great to be that way too. As long as you have a reason for it. Like, it's not just like the rat race of every day I'm going to be disciplined. Every day I'm going to work out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Like, what's the purpose? Is it just to be in shape? Well, you're in shape. You got there. Mm-hmm. What are you now doing? Like, what's
like what Akira the Don said, discipline seeps in.
Right.
You know what I'll say? Like, my apartment right now is the cleanest, most organized it's ever been since I moved here.
Yeah.
And you would fucking say something if you went down there right now, because it looks very different. Well, not very different, but you remember that the table with the fucking where the thing is?
Yeah.
It's clean.
It's clean.
I could use it now as a table.
Jeez.
Not since the day I moved in was it like that.
No.
And it's just one of those things. It's like it seeps into other elements of your life when you get really disciplined and you really focus on that. It seeps in.
And as long as you're finding happiness in places, and it's not just like the journey stays the journey. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're on a journey, and then you get to the destination. You say, all right, I'm at the destination. I'm not gonna completely let off the gas, but now it's time to slow down a little bit, and now I'm gonna enjoy that I got to this point. Some people don't know when to let off the gas. Just like, this is it. And before they know it, all of a sudden they're just unhappy. They're like, they're so unfulfilled now because they've been focusing on this thing forever and lost focus of all these other things. And they go, oh, you see it in so many different things, right? You see like people that go through midlife crises and these kinds of things. They're focused on, women, they'll get focused on kids and they're like early 20s or something like that, right? They never really kind of, they never allowed themselves to be a kid and enjoy, maybe going out to clubs or whatever the fuck they wanted to do. And then they had kids early, and then their whole life is these kids. And then they get to like 40, 45, and the kids are moved out now, and they've lost that purpose of taking care of the kids. And they're like,
what do I do?
And they go fucking crazy. Like, they want to fuck everything, and they want to.
But a part of that too, though, a huge part of that too. This was an interesting idea that
it happens with men too, not just women.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting idea that was brought up in a podcast I was listening to recently. Like, that human beings have never lived this long.
True. Yeah.
So, like, by the time, like, at your age, like, you're older than almost every human that's ever existed.
I would have been like an old aged guy. Back in,
you were in the village elder, if not dead already.
1200s even, like, or even maybe I don't even know. Like,
but think about the last 100,000 years, right? Like, throughout most of human history, like you're probably dead by now.
Oh yeah. And if I'm not, it's like, holy shit.
And yet now, you could easily have more than.
I might not even be at half.
You're 43. You could have another 50, 60 years.
Yeah, I might not even get halfway through my life. I bet you I am, but I bet you I'm way over.
Yeah, maybe, but still, like, with medicine and with constant developments and everything, and like lifestyle, you never really know for sure. And so it's like we haven't really developed. Like, when you're a kid, you kind of know what to do.
Yeah,
you're just trying to have fun with things, and you're playing with the other kids, and everything's all fun and games. Then you get a little older, you're a teenager, you start you start kind of craving a little bit of responsibility. Maybe you don't necessarily know that you're craving responsibility because you're still kind of a kid inside, and responsibility is scary, but you do still kind of crave it, and when you get it, it kind of feels good. And then you're an adult, and then it's like, okay, I'm starting a family, and now I got these responsibilities, these kids that I'm responsible for. And then you pretty much die before, by the time those kids are adults. And that's the life cycle. So what do you do? Like, we haven't really evolved to handle that. Okay, now my kids are grown up and I'm still here. Like, you have adult children. It's adult child. Like, you have more than half your life ahead of you, right? Like, a lot of people. So it's like, what do you do at that point? It's an interesting psychological problem that we haven't really confronted as a species. It's totally true.
I mean, what do we do now? Like, that's why it's so important. Like, balance. If you're out of balance, you should be out of balance for a time period. You shouldn't be out of balance for
most of your life.
Yeah, for like half of your life or something.
Yeah.
Like you start doing that, it's like, whoa. Now you're playing mental catch up on all kinds of things. And, you see that all the time where you see somebody that loses their childhood early, or they, they don't, now they have kids too late or something, right? They're having kids in their 40s and stuff, and by the time the kids are grown up, they're like in their 60s, and they feel like, holy shit, now I'm old. And
Right.
so it's all about the balance, and that's what I'm talking about with this, the whole exercising and all that, and discipline and stuff like that. Like everything's about balance. If you're disciplined in all facets of your life.
I think that's the thing about like exercising. Why I always encourage people to work out and try to work out every day, even if you're not doing that much, because as what the whole point that it like that resonated with me so much, that sort of paragraph or couple that he wrote out is like, it's true. Discipline seeps in. You kind of you start on one thing. A really easy thing to do is just start with exercise, and maybe expand from exercise to your diet, and then it just kind of naturally expands outward from there. And then you're going to be better off for it if you can kind of use it properly. Maybe not everybody can, but it's a good start anyway.
In the absence of discipline, I think some people need, and to bring back to the point of like the control sort of thing. And I'm not a control guy, but I do think certain things need control. Like they need the masses control. Essentially, we need to kind of step in as a group, as a species, and say, hey, let's control these things, just because it will make our life easier, right? But as far as discipline and stuff, discipline will come with those kinds of things, right? If you now don't have to worry about XYZ, then you can now be a little more disciplined to this, or so I think it all kind of goes hand in hand to in some degree. But I mean, I've lived my whole life with certain discipline. As much as I'm a joker and a goof and I goof around and stuff, I'm very disciplined with certain things. Like people will laugh and they see how I eat and stuff, and they go, oh my God, like even my girlfriend makes comments. She'll go, yeah, you eat really well all week, and then on the weekend you're eating like shit. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm disciplined during the week, and that's the reason
that I can eat like shit on
the
the
weekend.
weekend.
I'm like, I'm not in as good a shape as I could be.
Yeah.
But all I would have to do is tweak it down a little bit. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to add an extra day into that. I'm going to add Saturday into that, where I also eat
A little bit more exercise.
6 days I'm stressed.
A little less drunk on the junk days. Maybe just more of a calorie deficit to burn those extra fats on the 6 days. And then,
But I've always lived my life that way, in a way that I'm disciplined. So it's like everything I'm doing is so I can do something else. It's not just for the sake of doing that. Like right now, I think you're. That didn't come out. No, it wouldn't. Okay.
Not saying we're live again. Yeah, I'll just end it.